blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show with your host, Liz Scala, every Saturday night on the LNM Network from 9 p.m. to midnight. And now your host, Liz Scala.
Well, hello and welcome everyone. It is the Red Pill Reality Show. An honor and a privilege to have you tune in and listen tonight. Going to have a very interesting guest on. This happens to be a personal friend of mine that I've known for about 4 or 5, maybe even 6 years. Time is such a blur for me. Yeah, it's been at least 6 years. Who has access to some very interesting things, and we'll talk about that in a little bit when he comes on. His name is Timothy Thrapp. He's with the WITTS Ministries, and WITTS is for World Improvement Through the Spirit, and they certainly do that. They help improve our world in many different ways. So let me get on to what else is happening tonight. Well, let's see. We're going to have Angel joining us at, I think about 9:15, Angel will be coming on. And then a little after that, we'll have Sir Timothy Thrapp, and we'll be taking your calls. Let's see. Let's start off with, I apologize, got a couple of things taking my attention here. Let's start off with phone numbers to call in tonight, 561-440-5174. And I'll be taking calls in a little while. When you call, please stay muted. Just don't say anything until I can get to you. Hopefully it won't be very long. I try not to keep people waiting very long, but typically within a couple of minutes, you'll be on the air with us. If we get a lot of calls tonight, we may have to cut back on the amount of time per call, but we'll kind of go by ear on that one. You can join us in the chat room. The chat room is found at www.latenightinthemidlands.com. If you click on the chat and listen tab, you'll go to another page which will take you to our chat room. Chat room is also moderated by people for us. Thank you for the volunteers in the chat room. Let's see what else we got going on tonight. My gosh, I don't even know where to start with all this nonsense that's happening between 4 individuals that are in Congress that should be adults by now that are acting like little babies. They have been picking a fight with America in general, President Trump particularly. And then when someone speaks out and says something to them, their feelings are hurt and they cry the blues. It's just getting a little disgusting, sickening, really, to watch what's going on and expect that the people are going to side with these people, these 4 individuals who they don't care about our country, my friends. They truly don't. Well, let me put it to you this way. They don't care about the America that you and I grew up in. They don't care about the America that you and I cherish. They don't care about the America that you and I respect. They care about the America they want. They want to turn our country into the country that they came originally from. Some of them, well, I think one or two of them were born here, but they want to make things the way that from their homeland, if you will. And I just find that rather disturbing, because these are supposed to be people who have taken an oath to defend our country and our Constitution. And while I'm on the subject of that, please don't let these people continue to tell you that we live in a democracy. We do not live in a democracy. We live in a constitutional republic, and there is a big, big, big difference between the two. We use a democratic system to bring people into office, an electoral system that is of a democratic nature. And that's as close to a democracy as we get. Otherwise, we are a constitutional republic. And it is important, it is vitally important that people understand that. In a democracy, the mob rules. If you have a bike and there are 100 people around you and 51 of them say, we're going to take that bike, they get to take your bike. That's how democracy works. In a constitutional republic, that bike belongs to you. It is constitutionally your right to own that bicycle. No matter if 90 of them vote to take your bicycle away from you, won't work. That's just a really oversimplified thing, but it's one of the most vital components of what we are. And it is important, because I don't think that we are being taught, that these children are being taught the Constitution the way that I was growing up in school. We had a civics class. I don't even have civics classes anymore. We had history. Do they have history anymore? Honestly, I don't know. I'm going to ask my grandkids. But I know that the civic thing is out the window. Things about the understanding of how our government is supposed to work is out the window. I find that disturbing. Because if they don't know how things are supposed to work, then how are they going to know whether their rights are being violated or not? These are one of the things that we're facing today. And children growing up not knowing these things think that they can just demand whatever they want. Well, everything is free in another country. Why can't we do it here? It is absolutely vital that these children understand our history. Instead of tearing down these statues that they, quote, are offended by, they've been there for over 200 years. And why is it all of a sudden that they are offensive to people when we have young men walking around literally with their pants hanging down around their crotch, showing their underwear? How can that not be offensive? Yet these relics of our history are somehow offensive and must be torn down. These are the steps that are required to wipe out a nation and start from a clean slate. These are all the indicators that we are under an absolute attack. Now, it may not be the kind of attack that most of us envision when we say it, we are under attack. It may not be the same as when the British were coming. But don't kid yourself, we are under an attack in this country. A direct attack upon us, the American citizens who believe in the Constitution. Today, we are under attack. I have been expressing that for some time now. And people don't seem to believe what I am saying, even though the evidence is all around us. Look at what is going on in the social media platforms. Look at the censorship that is occurring. I don't care where you go, it's happening. Whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, it doesn't really matter. These corporations are censoring the conservatives and the constitutionalists. That's how it started in Nazi Germany, by the way. Burning of books. Censoring someone, putting someone in, quote, Facebook jail is the same thing as burning books. You remember who burned books? I do. Maybe some younger kids who haven't been taught history understand the ramifications when free speech is cut out. You may not like what you have to say, but you have a right to say it. So how long will it be before the phone company cuts off your phone line because they don't like the way that you're talking over the phone? Don't think you're being listened to? Boy, are you in for a rude awakening. How long will it be? They've already encompassed, let's see, Google is censoring, correct? Facebook, unquestionably censoring. Instagram, censoring. Twitter, censoring. Even Wikipedia is going in and changing what they call live documents. See, if they call them live documents, that means they're subject to change. Whether it's true or not doesn't really matter, as long as it fits the agenda. Me, I am quite, I can't even express to you how sick and tired I am of watching what's going on. What a slap in the face it is to me and those who have served this country. As I watch people who are in our government, for God's sake, in our government, literally spit in the face of us, how they despicably talk about our country, and yet they're permitted to remain in office. To me, it's absolutely unacceptable, but somehow it's occurring. It continues to go on. People make excuses for them. They don't really understand the words that they're using. They just need to learn to express themselves in a better way. How much more is there to understand when on the very first night one of them says, we're going to, excuse me, we're going to impeach that you-know-what. I think that pretty much clears it up for me. That they're going to impeach him. And that's all they've done, by the way, since they've been in office, is work on impeaching the president. Forget about the American people who put you there. Forget about what our needs are. Forget about what's going on at the border. Forget about the needs that this country has right now in the most vital time of its history. Forget about all that. We want to impeach the MFer. And people are allowing this to continue. And the key word is allowing. Whether you want to admit it or not really doesn't matter. It's the truth. We are allowing this because if enough of us got together, we could remove these people tomorrow. And I say remove them. And not only remove them, but I don't know what the word would be, cancel all of their benefits. Take away all of their benefits. I don't want them just kicked out of office so they can continue to make the same amount of money that they're making as they are in office, along with all the benefits they have. Forget that nonsense. All right. Going to lighten up a little bit. I'm sorry. I got to tell you, this is just, it's not acceptable anymore. This is really, they've gone beyond the limit of patience. This is what a bully does, a typical bully. They pick on somebody they think they can beat. And then if that's somebody that they think they can beat lashes back, they cry out, oh my God, I'm a victim, I'm a victim. It's insanity. And for us to continue to allow it makes us insane as well. Oh my goodness. All right, so let's see if I can find something here. And we'll get back to doing stuff. All right, here we go. We're going to take a quick break. When I come back, hopefully the Angel will land. We'll have Angel on board, and then shortly thereafter, we will have Sir Timothy Thrapp with the WITTS Ministries. Please don't go away.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show on the LNM Network. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
Grace has some pretty stellar arms, like Serena Williams good, but her face is pretty disgusting.
Someone please tell him to go back into his closet and leave us alone.
Britney's face is so stupid and I hate her so much. It's like a scientist created her in a lab to annoy humanity and didn't even do that good of a job.
Megan reminds me of a troll doll that came to life intent on killing us with her stupidity.
Why is Grace's head so big? It definitely has nothing to do with how smart she is and probably everything to do with how bloated she is.
He's so funny! Just kidding. Who would find this disfigured flamingo funny?
Never post a selfie of yourself. You look so ugly.
The only reason you have so many views is because we think you're a freak and we can't look away.
Megan is the main reason that the world sucks so much.
I would rather get cancer than listen to another Trevor Moran song.
You are a mistake. You should have never been born.
Drown yourself in a shallow puddle, please.
Wow, I hope she's sterile.
These really stopped being funny a long time ago.
You're so much more than the things that people say about you.
Those people have no right to say cruel things to you to make themselves feel better.
It's okay that you sound different than everyone else.
That's what makes you so special.
We will not tolerate it. We will not tolerate it.
We will not tolerate it.
We will not tolerate it.
Every day, people make me feel like I stand out simply because of the way that I look.
Every day people make me feel small.
Every day I face the cruel words of bullying.
And every day people tell me that I'm brave for enduring this humiliation.
But we're not the brave ones.
It's the ones that say no to the bullying.
The witnesses.
And if we all join together, there's nothing that we can't do. We will no longer be the silent majority.
When we see bullying online,
We will let the world know that we're going to take action with the eye.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
Our actions will overpower cruel words.
I am a witness.
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 There is power in words.
But it's nothing compared to the power of the actions that we put behind our words.
Visit eyewitnessbullying.org to learn more.
I am a witness, and so are you.
I'm gonna stand by you.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
We have ignition. Strap in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show with your host, Liz Scala, every Saturday night on the LNM Network from 9 p.m. to midnight. And now your host, Riscala.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin.
All right, you are listening to the Red Pill Reality Show. We are back, and I believe the angel may have landed. I've got to get over to my board here and see if we can just bring her on. Okay, a little cooperation from the computer. There we go. All right, Miss Angel, have you landed?
I have landed.
Hot dog. Got a little static in there. Yeah, I think you got a bad connection. You want to call back?
Oh my gosh. Is it not clear right now?
No, it's a lot of static.
I shall call back.
All right. All right, she'll call back in just a minute. We'll get her back on. Meantime, in just a few moments, I'll have Sir Timothy Thrapp on, and we can we'll get on with him. Again, the number to call in if you want to join us, 561-440-5174. If you've got a comment or question, we'll be taking calls shortly. I'll open up the lines here in just a minute. Also, you can join us at the www.latenightinthemidlands.com. There's a chat room there. It's free. You can join us there as well. If you have comments or questions, you can place them in the chat room. I try to monitor that as best as I can. All right, Miss Angel, let's see what you sound like.
Am I coming in clear?
Oh, loud and clear.
Well, I heard your opening, and if you want to lighten it up, then I've called the wrong show because I'm seething at those four Musketeers.
This is sad. It really is sad. And then, from the time that they have got into office, one of their most focused points is this president not working for the people, not doing what they have been elected to do. No. We want to get this MFer out. And okay, so let's just kind of play the game here. Not that it would ever happen, but then you have to deal with Pence. You think you think that Trump is going to be tough on you? How do you think Pence is going to feel knowing that you forced him out of his seat? And then what really would be justice and karma would be Pence to say, well, I want Trump for my vice president, and then let Pence step down and bring, oh my gosh, I could just see heads literally spinning if something like that were to occur.
I don't think they even understand this. All we hear is about skin color. Dark. We want colored skin. You've got to understand. I'd like to have them have an IQ test. That's what I would like to have.
I don't blame you.
Because none of them, not any of those four from the fraud squad, have an intellect that could go against even an amoeba and win. I
don't blame you. It's very frustrating, and honestly, I hope that other people feel the way I do. I would think that they do. I mean, I don't think that I'm somebody special, but I think it's just tiring. It's enough already. And to me, the way that I see it is it's almost like a bully. Like I said earlier, it's a bully that picked on somebody and picked on somebody and picked on somebody. And if somebody they picked on really didn't lash back, just kind of let them, they're not worth the time just of my day. Just keep doing what I'm doing. But then it reaches a point where the person that they're lashing out at decides to lash back. All of a sudden, they're victims. The media plays along with it. They play along with it.
This is the most insane thing that I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of insanity in my day. But somebody like Omar that comes from Somalia, you want to talk about an asshole. That place is so filthy, and she knows it.
Oh, did you hear?
She should be kissing the ground here.
There was a reporter that wanted to prove how nice Somalia is and went there to report on it and ended up getting killed. I'm trying to bring up the article now. It was a lady who went to Somalia to report about what a beautiful place it is and blah, blah, blah. And these Muslims killed her.
Look, Rascala, I've sat shoulder to shoulder more than the times that I could count with Colonel Danny McKnight, Black Hawk Down. Colonel McKnight led the streets of Mogadishu.
Uh-huh.
I don't guess about what's going on over there. I've seen it with my own eyes. She is an absolute piece of garbage. She's married to a brother and not from another mother. She is like so despicable. She's anti-Semite. She's anti-American. And she's got that other Tawib, that moron, is running around saying the same thing, has no competence about anything that is pro-USA. It's all anti-USA, period.
And that seems to be the what do they call it? A modus operandi for them.
Yes, that's their motive. And it makes me laugh because I'm sure you saw that President Trump had Buzz Aldrin in and was talking about how long would it take exactly to get to Mars. I think he's looking for those 4 to volunteer as his first trip out.
I thought that was funny.
I wish.
Yeah, I think he thinks we can just we have the technology. Well, maybe he knows something we don't. But I think he feels that, well, why can't we just get in a ship and go? Just get up there and go. Get it done.
I mean, we're just in the weirdest time. It's just really, when you say it's hard to put it into words, it is for me also. And for me not to be able to put a functioning sentence together, call Guinness Book of World Records, because it rarely happens. But this is insanity.
Yeah. Absolutely. You know, I don't know what is more insane, listening to them or knowing that people are willing to allow this to continue. There are people in Congress who see this kind of behavior. They know that this is not becoming of a congressperson, of a representative in our government. That's just not becoming of them. This is not the proper behavior for them. This is not what is expected as as someone who represents our government. Yet they don't discipline them. They don't do anything about anything that I'm aware of. I think at one point they kind of warned her, a verbal warning, but that was it. They don't bring him out in the spotlight and go, listen, this is not acceptable. You have personal disagreements with the president, then that's exactly what it is. It's personal. You keep it personal. It doesn't become public. It doesn't help this country. It certainly doesn't add to the unity of the country, if anything. And that's exactly what we need today after 8 years of Obama and the separationists' ideas that he introduced. Oh, we'll let the boys in the girls' bathroom. Oh, we're going to let people who, well, if they identify as a woman, it's okay. They can do this. We're still suffering from that. It's going to be hard to turn that back around again. But we're seeing evidence of that now. We're seeing us moving towards the direction which I believe we should be heading, not what we're doing before. And these 4 can't take it. They want to pull us back. They want to take us back to where we came from. This is their new America that they want.
Right. And it is not where we came from, is where they think that their background comes from, which is third world. Listen,
exactly.
Anytime you were born in the Middle East, I have dual citizenship in the Middle East as well. However, I don't put that I'm an Israeli USA citizen. When you hyphenate, whatever is in first position, that's who your allegiance is. So when you're a African American, just like my homegirl says, she's an American. You don't hyphenate and put something else before your United States citizenship, or else that's where your allegiance is towards. So all of these people want to turn our country into what supposedly their ancestors or them personally left to begin with. So when Trump says, go back, or whatever he said, leave, and even though that he took it back, I don't take it back. I would line them up. I'd have wheels up and cargo planes with them all loaded. Go.
He said, if you don't like it here, which they clearly don't like how the things are here. I mean, that's very evident. You'd have to really be awfully, I hate to use the word stupid, but really you'd have to be stupid not to realize that they do not like the situation that's happening here. That's very evident, very obvious. So if you don't like it here, then why stay? Go somewhere else, because we're not going to change. That's basically the underlying message. This is America, and there's a certain way that America is. And we're not going to go your way. The way that you want to go is the way of oil and water. They won't mix. Your socialistic ideas are not American. I said earlier in the monologue, we are a constitutional republic. That is a far cry from any kind of socialistic democratic nonsense. To me, the only difference between communism, socialism, democratic socialism, whatever else you want to call it, is just how much sugar you're going to put on top of the poop. The rest of it is it's the same thing.
And that it's not that difficult to see any of the experiments of how it turns out.
It fails.
We're watching it. I mean, Venezuela, everybody uses that as the compass, but I am telling you, 90 miles off the coast of you and I is Cuba. If you want a 57 Chevy, all you have to do is go 90 miles off of Key West Point. And that's where they're stuck in. You get a bag of peanuts and a chicken once a month. So we don't have to even look towards Venezuela. We have seen it with our own two eyes growing up down there, Escala.
Yep. I agree. All right, I think I may have Sir Timothy with me on now. Sir Timothy, is that you that is on the line with us now?
I am.
All right. Sir Timothy Thrapp with WITTS Ministries. Thank you for taking the time to call and share with us tonight, Sir Timothy. I greatly appreciate it. You can find out more about them at www.witts.ws. Remember it like website. And tonight with me, Sir Timothy, I have Angel Strong. Angel has been a co-host with me for a little while here. I so much enjoy having her on because she has a broad volume of knowledge in a wide variety of areas. And when I mentioned to her that you were going to be on, she got tickled. So, Angel, meet Sir Timothy. Sir Timothy, meet Angel. Go ahead, Angel.
Very nice and excited to be a part of this, and I'm all little ears.
Yeah, so any friend of Escala is a friend of mine. So awesome to meet you, Angel.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to this information, so I'm on go.
Okay.
Sir T, let's start with the basics first. Tell us, I mentioned WITTS, W-I-T-T-S, World Improvement Through the Spirit. That's what that stands for. Tell us a little bit about what is WITTS. What do they do?
Yeah, okay. I'm the spokesman for World Improvement Through the Spirit. And let me clarify, the website is real simple, witts.ws. Or you could say it this way, WITTS.ws. And this WS can mean website if you want to. It actually means Western Samoa, but that's where the servers are, I guess. But anyway, yeah, what the ministry is all about is helping the world to give solutions to the problems that face mankind. We've been busy for 200 years developing many solutions, and we've also been busy trying to getting them out into the world. Some of them are more challenging than others, but we've been giving them away. We have a regular weekly program, as you know. We call it the Unprogram, but we give away a lot of technology on that particular program. And there's very simple technologies, which are the power of God, and they're simple in explanation, but they might take a lifetime to master. And there's other technologies like gravity motors and the Tesla-type technology. The technology that Tesla was known for was free energy, and he did a lot of other things with pumps and turbines and so on. And all of it's, Tesla was our fourth spokesman, so none of it is lost. A lot of people have heard it's all lost. Nobody knows what it is, or it's in top secret government agencies, and that's all, the only place that knows it. And that's not correct at all. We give away stuff all the time on our website, and plus we offer classes. There's free classes, like I said, every week, and 2 hours. And there's also somebody's getting some feedback.
Somebody put a phone on speaker.
Oh, okay.
You got to get it off of speaker. When we're on speaker, we'll get feedback. or turn the volume down real low.
Might even be me. Let me plug in my headphones, let me see if I can help out here.
Yeah, sometimes on speakers we'll get feedback.
Am I coming through loud and clear?
Yeah, a little louder on your voice, but you're coming through clear. We could use a little more volume on the voice, but that's all right.
Hey, testing.
There we go.
If it's weak, I should probably call you back. What do you think?
Let's try it and see if it's bad. Then I'll have you call me back.
Okay. Yeah. Sometimes I notice when I plug in headphones, it doesn't come in as strong as if I call on the headphones. So anyway, yeah. So we are all about helping the world improvement through the Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit. The Spirit leads, and we follow. And we've blessed a lot of people with a lot of things. Actually, most of the technologies that people take for granted, like refrigerators and radio and so on, was developed by the ministry. Submarines, flying machines of all kinds, even the energy systems that we have now. Tesla was our fourth spokesman, and he's credited with the 60 cycle systems that we have now, and as well as various other systems that people use every day. And the ministry was behind all that, and it's been awesome to bless the world with better systems. Anything to lift people up and help people, we're interested in doing it.
Now the people hear me mention your name as Sir T. Of course, that's our nickname for you. But there's a reason why you carry the is it the surname? Or no, it's not Sir.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, it's the reason for the Sir part. Explain that.
Yeah. Years ago, one of our technologies that we gave away to the world is still in use, and years ago it was utilized. One of the companies that bought the rights to it got the contract for cleaning up the Rhine River, which is the largest river in Europe, and it was extremely polluted. I believe that was back in the early 90s when it was cleaned up, and you can look into history and see this. It just almost overnight, it changed from extremely dirty and stinky and pollution sewer to pristine and clean. This was technology that we developed and we implemented. And because of that, everybody took note, all the leaders and so on. And there's actually a king and queen of France. A lot of people don't know this, but it's mostly run by the parliament and probably have a president and all that. But there is also queen and king of France, and I was invited over. A number of us were invited over to receive honors and so on. And one of those honors was I was knighted. And like I said, there was a number. I think there were 4 of us that actually went, or 3 of us from the ministry. But they also knighted people from the company that actually did it. In other words, it was our technology. But there was I don't remember. I don't think it was a French company. I think it was maybe a German company or a Swiss company that we had sold this to. And they're the ones that actually did installed the machines and ran the water. But it's a domino effect, this type of system, and it can be used everywhere. It'll clean up just about any kind of pollution except for radioactivity, and that's another technology. We do have other technologies for cleaning up radioactivity, which we definitely need radioactive cleanup in Fukushima. Those 4, 5, 6 reactors, whatever it is, are leaking lots of toxic nuclear radiation and nuclear garbage into the oceans, and so we definitely need it there. We also need it in the South Pacific, where there's been literally thousands of nuclear bombs let off. And so anyway, it's interesting stuff for sure.
Yeah, I'm starting to hear that feedback again. I'm not sure where that's coming from. Let me see.
I don't think it's from me because I'm wearing headphones now.
It's coming from the other call. I have to either turn the volume down real low or put your phone on mute temporarily while you're listening, and then when you're ready to call, unmute your phone because we're getting feedback from the phone. So you were knighted, and that's why I refer to you as Sir T for short for Sir Timothy.
Yeah, and
now,
everybody, it's a nickname that took right away. Everyone calling me that. I've been the spokesman for the World Improvement through the Spirit Ministries for about 20, maybe 30 years now. Let's see, almost 30 years, 25 years, let's say, and 20, 25 years like that. And yeah, after we were knighted, yeah, a lot of people started calling me. Almost everybody from the ministry started calling me that. And but anyway, it's kind of stuck. It's a cool nickname. I kind of appreciate it. And,
so I had the privilege of literally seeing seeing several of the technologies that you have, but one of them that sticks out in my mind was a circuit that used 109-volt batteries, if I remember correctly. Is that right?
yes.
And how you even got this to work, I don't even know, because it was running. How big was the motor that was running?
It's about the motor that was custom made there in that circuit was about I'd say about 5 inches diameter and about 6 inches long. I'd say 6 inches long, 6 inches diameter.
If that motor were like a regular motor, what do you think it would be? A quarter horsepower?
It's capable of quarter horsepower. That particular. You can build these any size. We actually had these back in the 90s. We had a production facility for these type of motors. They're called delay line motors, and there's over 100 different versions of delay line motors. But yeah, go ahead, tell her. I think everybody'd like to hear what you saw.
So we started with 109-volt batteries, and you gave me a voltmeter. A voltmeter is what measures voltage. I took the voltmeter and I put it on the 9-volt batteries, and we had somewhere just a little over 900, 901, 905, somewhere in there. And then we turned this circuit on, and had this motor run. I don't recall what else was there. There's a couple of large capacitors, I think, maybe some lamps or something. But yeah, we let the circuit run for a while, and you said, come over here, I want to show you something else. While this thing is running, you're showing me some other things. One of the other things I saw was how you can one of the theories behind how to slow down gravity. We took a magnet and dropped it through a pipe, and you could literally see how it just almost like was dropping it through syrup. It just took its sweet time coming out the other end. And then I guess about 15 minutes went by, and I went back to the circuit, at which point you turned it off, and I took the meter again and I put it on the batteries. And what shocked me was that instead of reading less than 900, which would be the normal thing, because in my experience, and I have a little bit of electrical background experience. I've been working on. I built my first computer in 1985, but I've been working on printers, electromechanical circuits for 24 years. So I've got a little bit of knowledge about what's going on. And when I put the meter back on the batteries, much to my surprise, to my disbelief, I think the number was like 925, 926. There was more voltage in the batteries when we were done running this thing than there was before we started. All logic and all training that I have had tells me that's impossible. That just cannot be. And how many of you ever had a flashlight and turned the battery on, turned the light on, and forgot to turn it off? Eventually, those batteries go dead. They don't come back. They don't have more voltage in them after you've turned it on than before. That just didn't make sense to me. But these are the technologies that WITTS has. This is just a tip of the eye. I mean, this is the basic of basics, but it was so, to them it's basic. To me, it blows my mind. I still don't understand how it all worked, but I just know that I witnessed it. I saw it. There was no way they could fool me because the batteries were insulated from everything else. There were no other wires hooked to the battery at the time that I connected the leads to the battery. So the voltage that I was reading was coming directly from the batteries. To this day, I don't know how they did it, but I know they did it. And this is just it's just a tip.
I would like to, for the audience, you may or may not remember the two large capacitors there were multiple farads, and normally it would take a lot of power to charge those up. Those were zero when we started, volts, 0 volts, and when we finished, they were same voltage as the battery. Do you remember that, brother?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's, in other words, some people would say, well, maybe the batteries, somehow drifted a little on voltage or whatever because you use them. And sometimes batteries will go up a little bit after a minute or two.
Yeah, but not like that. My gosh,
No.
that represented almost a 10%. No, let's see, the 20% increase almost, more than 20%. If it were 901 or 902, I think it was, or somewhere in there when I started, and we ended up at 926, if I remember right, that represents over 20% increase in voltage in the battery. That's just not everything that I have learned, everything that I was taught. And I was taught by some of the people that taught me were Hewlett-Packard, Lexmark, very well-known names that I've taken courses through. That's impossible. This is just not. That just doesn't happen.
Well, especially if you're charging up some really big capacitors, and we were running lights as well. If you remember, there were at least 2 lights.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and so normally when you charge up, if you take a 9-volt battery and charge up a capacitor, even if it's 100, even if say 1,000 microfarads, and you charge it up, your 9-volt battery is going to be about half. It'll be about 4 or 5 volts.
Yeah, it takes something to charge that capacitor up. It's not, it doesn't do it by itself, so it's going to suck it out of that battery.
Yeah. So anyway, this technology is Tesla type technology, and there were a number of guys before Tesla. I'm actually the 7th spokesman since Michael Faraday was our first spokesman. And they don't want to tell you any of this stuff in history. They want people to think all this technology has been lost, so that they can justify wasting huge amounts of money on all kinds of solutions like fossil fuels and et cetera, et cetera.
They're very afraid because what you have and the technology that you represent very well could bring down the oil industry very easily. Well, maybe not bring it down completely, but severely damage it. I mean, we're always going to need something made by oil. What kind of oil is a whole nother story. That's a whole nother show in itself. We could make things out of oil that could degrade very easily and quickly, but we don't do that. But my point being is that you see the world today basically runs around oil. Here we're having wars over oil. And this technology would be a direct competitor to that. That freaks them out. You can do all kinds of things and they'll remain calm. But the moment you talk about anything that has anything to do with removing money, oh my goodness, now we're talking absolute brutal war.
It's amazing how money does rule most governments and most leaders and most people's minds. But really, the world is moving toward clean energy, and this is awesome stuff. China recently passed a ruling or a law that all vehicles will have to be electric by, I think it's within 2 years from now.
Wow.
Like that. Yeah. It might have been 3 years from now. And they are moving quickly to get, to take the fossil fuel vehicles off the road and put on electric. So they are moving quickly in that direction. They're still exporting, fossil fuel cars, but they're not building any more for themselves, and that's kind of curious. Also, China, probably China is the largest producer, probably by far. Probably the whole rest of the world doesn't even produce, half of what China produces as far as goods right now. As far as goods that are most of it's exported, so they're exporting fossil fuel cars and other things like that, motorcycles and so on. But they're not consuming any of that. It's against the law, basically against their rules. They're consuming electric, and so it won't be long, and the electric free energy cars become available to everybody. I'm very optimistic about it, and we're going strong. We got the whole house power system almost ready to mass produce. If people, anybody out there wants to get in on the action, get in on the excitement, get in on the helping, get it going, you can contact us on the Contact Us page. And best thing is to get a consultation. There's the first gift on the gifts page is consultation. There's a suggested minimum donation. I do most consultations by donation. But anyway, that's how we operate, and we are feeding, just so people understand. When you donate, you're not supporting me. I get plenty of money from government contracts and various things I've done, various work I've done that has royalties and residuals. But most of my money, my income, goes also to the ministry, and the ministry is supporting poor people, mainly children, orphans, that a lot of them would be dead without us. I'd say 90% of them, at least 50% of them. So we do work in third world countries. There is virtually no welfare systems in most countries, and people without somebody there to help, some Christian group there to help, a lot of people would be dying. So that's what the ministry does. We teach the gospel of Jesus Christ, and we save lives by feeding people. And there's outreaches, there's orphanages, there's elderly care, and so we are busy blessing people and taking care of the world as best we can. I mean, there's still a lot of people I'd love to help that we can't. We just don't have the ability. I can't help everybody, but we can make a huge difference in some of them's lives, and that's what being a Christian is all about, I believe.
Amen. Angel, you got a question?
I listen to everything, and I appreciate all the work that he's doing. I'm still stuck on the 9-volt battery. I haven't moved from that. I mean, I have a background in electrical engineering, so I understand that a capacitor is a battery. So if you're connected to a charge capacitor, if that's connected to your circuit, you're going to charge the 9-volt batteries. But something like this,
but you're also draining at the same time. Remember that. Not only you're charging, but you're draining.
Yeah, these capacitors were empty. Brother Viscala, checked at 0 volts on the capacitors before we started. And
no, but what I'm saying is, it's just like this. If it's something that is usable like that, as you both are saying, I'm agreeing, the government does not want to usurp the oil.
Yep.
I mean, it's that simple.
Yep.
They just, not that it's not changing now, that some things aren't doing a breakthrough, but big money and big brother and big pharma and big everything just really doesn't love the fact that somebody is inventing or coming up with something that could potentially change everybody's life for the better without a cost.
Yeah, I'm not saying there isn't any challenges. There definitely is challenges, but I can see it moving in this direction toward clean energy. So I just fully suspect that we'll have something in mass production soon, especially with a little bit of bagging. I'm very optimistic. The climate is right. Let's just say it that way. The situation is right on this planet. The world, supposedly went green in 2006. Green became a good thing, and this is about the best green you can get as far as clean energy goes. We'll make it. The plan is to make the whole house power system more acceptable by putting a solar panel on it, and doesn't really need it, but we'll make sure that it needs it. Otherwise it won't work basically. But that'll make it a little more acceptable for the establishment, because solar panels have been around for a long time, and they're in mass production. A lot of people are using them. So the energy possibilities are fantastic, as well as all kinds of other things. So we have health and healing technologies, and we have anti-gravity technologies. Those are probably the 3 biggest. Pollution remediation is a big one also, but that's pretty much been given away. There's a lot of other companies that are doing it. Japan, matter of fact, it's standard. Our systems are standard in the whole country for pollution remediation. In other words, cleaning up sewage and cleaning up other any type of pollution. The only one that has not become adopted yet on pollution remediation is the nuclear cleanup, and they don't. There is definitely a force, a governmental force that rich corporations that don't want that cleaned up. In other words, they make a lot of money off of so-called storage of nuclear materials, and
back to money again.
It's a big scene.
Plus, I'm just saying this, sir, that the fact is that you also bring in the biblical lessons, and they don't like that either, which is the double whammy. We like that because we love God. But when you mix that combination of trying to help society with the curve of cheap energy or free energy after it's processed, and doing it for the good of the people, that's the double whammy.
Yeah, it definitely.
I mean,
well, he has been harassed. I guess you could use the word. The ministry's been harassed, and several times been warned. And one time, I believe they were broken into. Right? One of your labs were broken into.
Nothing since 2000 and I think 2002 was the last time. But up till then we had over 7 labs completely destroyed by the government at various times, and 1 manufacturing facility. But the good news is since 2002, I think was the last time that we had any kind of that type of harassment.
That's good.
And yeah, it's been a long time. It's been 16 years, 17 years, something like that. So it's awesome. Yeah, when the world went green, a lot of things changed. I was actually on the no-fly list. I think it was around the year 2000. I went out to Hawaii and demoed a free energy device for the Queen. There's a royal family out there too. A lot of people don't know that, but they still exist. And they never really agreed to be a state either. It was more or less taken by force. But they still exist, the royal family, and it is a matriarchal, type rulership as far as the Queen goes. That she's in charge, not her husband. But anyway, I demonstrated that, and lo and behold, the next day, early in the morning, I immediately there were people following me as soon as I demoed that, and we only had about 30 people there in the room. Demoed this, maybe 40. But the Queen was one of them, and her entourage, and so the next morning, bright and early, the U.S. Marshals took me into custody, arrested me, took me into custody, took me straight to told me to get all my things, took me straight to the airport, and got on the plane with me, no less. And I wasn't scheduled to go back for another few days, and I was also scheduled for a stopover in I think it was California. I forget, it was either California or Nevada, but they took me right back. They basically forcibly took me back to Ohio, and told me that'd be the last flight I ever flew on. That's what they told me. Well, you guys are sitting there for 6 or 8 hours. You'd have plenty of time to talk. And of course, they weren't very chatty. But one of the things they did tell me is, "This is the last flight. Fly on this. You're on the no-fly list." And
that's great.
Of course, I fought that, and I did manage to get off. I think it was 2006 when I was exonerated, but it cost me a lot of money personally to fight that, and it had to be federal court and everything else. And when I got off of it, finally, the judge said, "You're the only person that's ever got off of the no-fly list, and you'll probably be the only one that ever will get off." And he said, "You wouldn't be getting off except the world went green now." And they had me labeled as a economic terrorist because
oh
my God,
yeah, the stuff I demonstrated was they said it was it could collapse the world economy because the world economy is based on oil.
They're deathly afraid. They're deathly afraid of this, and they just don't understand that with the new technology automatically will come new opportunities if they just let it come forward. When we went from the horse and buggy to the car, the industry of the horse and buggy went by the wayside. Didn't completely die. There's still horse and buggy, but it's not like it was. It's nowhere like it was in its heyday. When the car industry came into play, which made that obsolete for basically, a whole new industry came in, and that's what I'm trying to convince these people when I talk to them, the representatives, the few that I get to meet with, a whole new industry will come in. If you'll let this flourish and come forward, there will be a whole new industry that we can bring. You don't need to look at it as a threat to your economy, because that's how they see this. They see this as a threat directly to the economy. And now more than ever, I would think, because we are, for the first time, we are the major exporter of oil in the entire world. So now I would think more than ever they would be even more worried. So that's the kind of insanity that we're up against. That when we try to bring these kind of technologies forward, when we speak about them, a lot of times it's just, no, you can't talk about that kind of stuff, or they'll cut your video out, or they'll take your particular channel down. This is what I'm talking about, and I talked about earlier in the monologue how the conservatives are being censored. Well, my gosh, if you're a conservative and you're a Christian, and on top of that, you're a scientist that has technology that could bring about free energy. When we use the word free, I don't mean it's absolutely free. It costs something to make it, but then from that point forward, it's, quote, free. So, and you're talking about those things? Oh my gosh, you're a domestic terrorist.
Yeah, that's basically how they labeled me, as a economic terrorist. And but like I say, 6 years, 5 or 6 years later, lots of court cases, I finally got exonerated and off the no-fly list. So I'm enjoying flying again. It's been 13 years now. So, but anyway, that's an interesting story. True story. How the dark side likes to slow things down. They're just trying to slow progress down. Is all. They know it's going to come sooner or later. They're just trying to keep their profits. You mentioned earlier, United States is a major importer. Or is that what you meant to say?
Exporter. We are the number one exporter of oil in the world now.
We're selling oil to the other.
Yeah.
I thought we had an oil deficit.
No, we are net oil exporter now. We've turned it completely around with this. This president is the way he, I think, I don't want to speak for him, but I think the way he envisions in building a very strong economy is having a good, strong oil background and not being reliant on any of these other countries. So we don't get oil from overseas like we used to before. We're actually selling it out to other people. This is one of the big deals that he's working on in the Middle East with some of these countries that have been buying, who is it, the UK, I think it is. I think it was the UK or Germany, one of the two of them, is buying oil from Russia. Well, we had a deal for them to buy oil from us. That's the kind of thing that's going on overseas with that kind of, with the oil industry.
Well, before Trump, there was a lot of importing.
Exactly.
Of oil.
Yeah. It was the other way around. Yeah. And it'd been that way for a while.
Opened up a lot of oil fields or something, huh? Is that what he did?
We have more oil here in the United States than some of the reserves that they found are larger than any of the reserves around the world that they found here. We have one in Alaska that they've, up until just recently, I think, they've been absolutely reluctant to do anything with, and it's one of the largest that they know of. I can't think of the name of it, but there's one up there in Alaska. There is the what do they call that, shoal, where it's oil that is extracted from coal or something like that. We have the greatest reserve of that in the entire world, but they wouldn't, previously wouldn't be permitted to deal with that. So when we combine these things, we're now what they call a net exporter. We sell it to them. We're not buying their oil anymore. And so I think that's very important today, because even though we're still being ripped off, without question, the price we're paying for gas is way too high. But you can see with, was it 2 or 3 of these tankers now that have been overtaken by Iran, that would normally have spiked the oil prices. I mean, just made them jump right away. And you see we're suffering maybe a couple of pennies here or there. It's not really a big deal. And that, again, is because of who we are and what we're doing.
Yeah, so Trump is doing a good job making the United States a little more solid foundation, providing its own oil. And just so the listeners know, I've always known, since the early 20s, I'd known that I ran into some geologists and looked at their work, and there's a huge, huge, huge amount of oil. I'd say oceans of oil all over the world underground. You go deep enough. And all of them are accessible. There's also oceans of fresh, clean water underground.
Yes,
So
yep.
all the droughts are unnecessary as well. When the Bible talks about the global flood, it actually talks more about the springs of the watery deep being open than it talks about the rain coming from heaven. But both happened at the same time, and there was a large amount of water fell from heaven, but it looks like even more came out of the springs of the watery deep. And at the end of the flood, after I think it was over 100, I think it was over 200 days, 300 days. Anyway, it says that God stopped up those springs from the watery deep. And so that there's those springs, you can see them still today. We did a program on them you go to WITTS.ws and you look up the archives. Maybe about 6 months ago, we showed all these places where God stopped up. You can literally see the rocks have been shoved into these holes, and if you open them up and drill down there, and that's for those spots. They call them dikes, is what they call them. Geologists call them dikes, but it looks like somebody somehow stopped up, shoved a bunch of rocks really tight into these holes. And if you drill down there, you get tons of water. I mean, just unbelievable amounts, huge amounts of water. So literally all the dry places in California, it doesn't have to be dry. We have plenty of water. And as far as oil goes, it should be cheap. It should be free because there's plenty of oil too. Just a matter of drilling in the right place. The oil layer is deeper, I believe, than the water layer.
I think also you had, I think this was you. You had technology that could draw water out of the air too, right? Did you have that?
Yeah. Yes, that's called the Skywell technology, and we do have that as well. You can get large amounts of water right out of the air. It actually makes some of it, I'd say 90% of it from the quantum, which basically the Earth's magnetic field, all spheres that are alive, the Earth is alive, just so people know, and the sun is alive. The moon is probably dead. I'd say it is dead. Very little life in the moon itself. And Mars is almost dead, but there is still some life there in that planet. But anyway, all spheres that are alive that exist, planets and suns, make water. They make hydrogen, they make oxygen. All magnetism makes hydrogen and oxygen. The living magnetism makes the most. And once you have hydrogen and oxygen, you can combine those to make water. And that's the way our Skywell works, which is huge amounts of water. And these things literally could be it's another thing, it needs to be mass produced. If the funding is there, something the size of your air conditioner could, you sit right in your kitchen sink, or even smaller than that possibly. It's a mount right over your kitchen sink, and you just, turn the valve, you got all the water you want. You have hot water or cold water right out of the same machine. And you don't have to drill a well. You don't have to, get it out of a river or whatever, what people are doing now. But it's literally, we call it the Skywell, but it literally takes the water right out of the air, and huge amounts of water too. We had one machine about the size of a freezer back years ago, one of the original prototypes, about the size of a large freezer, the kind that people had in their houses in those days in the 60s. If you remember the size of the freezers in the 60s. About that size, and it was putting out a stream of water. I would say probably 50 gallons a minute, something like that.
Wow.
It's huge. It might have been more than 50 gallons a minute. It might have been 100 gallons a minute.
Wow.
We did measure. I don't remember all the details, but it was self-running because we put the quantum energy system, we built it right into the system. And I can say that most of that, we tested this to see how much it was really drawn out of the air and see how much the humidity would drop. And it does take a little bit of it out of the air, but most of it's being produced. I'd say 90% of that water is being produced from the quantum, from the substrate. There's a tremendous amount of energy available everywhere all the time. And Tesla testified to this, and many different people, Oliver Heaviside testified to this, and even more recently, there's many others that testified to this. And that energy can be used for electricity, or it can be used for water, or whatever. Basically, it's good for the environment. It's good for plants. It's good for people's health. It can be used for a lot of things. Let's say it that way.
Angel?
Well,
It's not like
I'm in total agreement. I get all of that. I mean, the air is full of water naturally. That's called barometers, and we know dehumidifiers suck the water out of the air. But what he is saying
it's completely
is
different.
pretty clear. The Green Deal for them is green money, and all of this it breaks their deal.
Yeah, basically.
Because it would take away all the chaos. What Sir T is saying is it would end so much strife. And that is what many governments feed off of.
Exactly.
They're starving. They're hungry. They're starving. They don't have anything. They need stuff. When he's talking about the water, when you're speaking about the water, that goes, like you said, to the plants, to the people, to the land itself. And, you really do have to have God behind you in something like this because the forces fight it.
Amen. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, God is the answer. Yeah, the people always, the nature of fallen man and government is typical of fallen man. Man's government, they always self-centered, not helping anybody but themselves. And that's not going to work. That's why it's so many problems, right now, honestly. Way too many people are self-centered, and mostly it's in government. And bankers, too. Governments, bankers, lawyers, judges. Yeah, Jesus got after all of them when he was here. And,
oh, absolutely. And I had told Rascala this on another show, that so many times when you're talking about the flood, the biblical flood, and people think that that's crazy, and I understand what you're saying about the springs coming up from underground, but the Weather Channel uses the term NOAA, meaning the National Oceanic, Atmospheric, but they don't realize they're saying Noah, who was our original weatherman, biblically. And that's the name they've coined for themselves. So every time I listen to the Weather Channel, I think that they're praising God, even though they don't intend to.
Yeah. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's neat.
So, T, something you mentioned a few moments ago, quantum energy. Is that the same as scalar energy?
Scalar it has to do with how the energy is arranged. You can have, and generally it is referring to a type of quantum energy.
I'm getting that feedback again.
A little bit of feedback.
Yeah.
From somebody.
Okay, go ahead.
Generally it's referring to a certain arrangement of energy, and it can usually it is dominant energy. It's not the best terminology in my opinion. There's a lot of different terminologies for the energy field that we live in. We live in an energy field. Space is, you have to go a long ways from a star to get to where there's very little energy. The energy's still there. You can go a long ways from a star. In other words, way out of our solar system, you go out there, way out of the galaxy, you go out there. Energy's still there, but it's much less.
Not as dense.
Much less active. I'd say it's still there and it's still just as dense,
but
it's not. It has to be. It takes a little more work to activate it, is my understanding of how things work.
Is this the energy that Einstein referred to, like the ether? I think he said he called it the ether.
Yeah, people call it ether field. It's extremely dense, but it's extremely fluid also. It's in other words, you'd think, well, something really dense, you can't push your way through it. But if it's extremely fluid, super fluid, then you don't even notice it. Yet it can still be very dense. So it's like atmosphere, it's like air, but it's extremely dense, but it's super fluid as well. And it can become superconductive as well. That's how the flying saucers work. If this fluid was not superconductive rather easily, the flying saucers would not be working. And there's a lot of people keep seeing that. I've helped build a lot of them. Skunk Works is famous. Area 51 is famous for all kinds of flying craft. And we've got some amazing stuff now. We have had for a lot longer than people realize. Skunk works is not the first. There was stuff going on in the 1890s. Tesla and Keeley working on anti-gravity machines even way back then. So flying machines were actually developed before Wilbur and Orville Wright, and people don't realize this, but they weren't aerodynamic flying machines. They were anti-gravity flying machines. And it's all, of course, top secret, and officially it never happened and all that. So I only know about it because I'm part of the ministry.
Okay, but you said something that probably freaked a lot of people out, and that was you helped build some of these, what we call UFOs, these flying saucers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not the only one. Tesla worked on them. Keeley worked on them. Ron Brandt worked on them. Basically, a lot of people worked on them. Thousands and maybe millions of people worked on them, but at least thousands, tens of thousands. There's and it's, I don't know what it's going on now at Area 51, but at one time when I worked there, there was at least 10,000 people working there, if you count all the underground places they're connected to, which is, let's say within an hour. A lot of times they take you there, you go way down underground and you get in these bullet trains that go super fast, and I'd say above the speed of sound. It seems that way. I don't know, I've never seen a speedometer, but in an hour you'd be, they make you ride on these for half an hour to an hour. And you could be, if you're going double the speed of sound, you could go down in the valley. You could be coming up in Washington, D.C., or who knows where. I don't know. Wow. They don't tell you. They don't tell you, but you're working. So there's a lot. So it's a big network. It still is a big network of people working together. And there's secret cities all over the world. People, and they all have advanced technology to some level or another. Most of them have anti-gravity crafts. Most of the secret cities. And they're all interconnected and working together. This is I think is it Karen Huda is one of these ladies that is always exposing things, says that the secret cities is a much bigger economy than all the rest of the economy of the world, like 100 times bigger or 10 times bigger. Yeah, have you heard that, Brother Keller?
No, I haven't. Are you referring to Karen Hughes? I think her name is Karen.
Might have been. It's the lady that used to work at the banks.
Yeah, that's her, Karen Hughes.
Yeah, she says that the secret city economies is much bigger than all the rest of the economy put together, like 100 times bigger. She crunches the numbers. She tells you, how to figure it out too, and she goes through how she went and figures it out. And if she's right, then it's much more going on than people realize. And I think it was Bill Snyder, who was killed for still and in the 90s, you still get killed. I think he got killed late 90s, 1990s. He could still get killed. Nowadays, they want people to talk about it. But, back in the 1990s, you were allowed to say a little bit, but not too much. And he was saying too much.
Yeah, he overstepped it. Yeah, he overstepped the line. Phil Snyder was a contractor for the government that specialized in underground work. And he spoke in public about working underground. I think it was a Dulce. I think that's where it was, where he ran into some really nasty alien race of some sort, all black, very smelly. He said he was escorted by some Marines at the time. They got into a firefight. This thing wielded some kind of wand at him, which he thinks was some kind of a laser beam or something, split him open he referred to him split open like a fish. And the Marines they were in an elevator and they went back up, and he survived, but he lost several of his fingers. He shows the video shows the wounds on his chest where he was sewed back up again. Pretty hairy stuff.
Yeah. But what I was going to say is he exposes the exact number of secret cities in one of his videos. You can still watch it on YouTube. I watched it probably a month ago. And I don't remember what he said, but it was somewhere like 1,000 or 2,000, a lot more than I thought it was.
Wow. Yeah.
I was thinking maybe 400 or 500, 600 worldwide, and it was in the thousands, whatever he said. He also exposed the amount of budget, they're spending on all kinds of advanced development and so on. So basically, the rest of the world is behind. The world that we know, that people know in general, is quite a bit behind where the secret cities are. But on the other hand, the secret cities, you don't have your freedom either that I've seen.
You're limited. Yeah,
extremely regimented, and I see people. You see people. Some of them are, they learn to be content, but you can see they can be a lot happier with a lot more freedom. So it's interesting how the world is, and a lot of people, most people have no idea the secret cities even exist, but they are.
They're there. Absolutely. Angel, I'm sure Angel know. Angel, I'm sure you know all about the underground base, DUMBs, I think they refer to them, deep underground military bases. You know about that, Angel?
Yes, I do. And the fact is, the name of this show, the Red Pill Reality, most people live like in the blue pill.
In the blue pill.
It's like an aquarium, and they don't know anything other than their surroundings. That there's so many more layers to what's actually going around us. And, of course, I'm very familiar. And I'm also familiar with vision glasses, night vision glasses that are used in IDF and the military. Over in Israel and Tel Aviv, they know absolutely for certain that there are hovering crafts that you can see with military goggles. I mean, they're apparent to us.
Wow.
So there's nothing new, but it's not well received by the majority of people because people just live in their own little world.
Yeah.
And we know there's a separate
scary.
world going on.
It's different, so it's scary.
Well,
it's different.
Yeah, Angel. That's good. You brought that up. The craft are all over. Every big city has 2 or 3 or 4 hovering there all the time. They come and go, but these craft are invisible to the naked eye, but with the right glasses, you can see them.
They're in infrared. Infrared is what I heard. If you have infrared.
Yeah, you look for the heat signatures and stuff like that. There's people that are experts even on YouTube, and they will show you the pictures and how they look at it, and they'll explain to you how you can see them yourself. And everybody that I know that's tried it, including myself, I have access to special glasses because the ministry helped develop those special glasses, like you're talking about, field glasses or binoculars or whatever. But there's special glasses that not only you see things closer, but you can see heat signatures and so on. And every big city has 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 of these ships hanging over it. And
absolutely everywhere. And if you have the right glasses or whatever you want to call them, night vision, you will be able to see them. Of course, not everybody has access to those night vision, but we have. I've seen it myself, and I've seen it in many cities and in many countries, that they're hovering, and they're everywhere.
Yes, and it's easier to see at night. The daytime, because of the glass, if you have the glasses, it's easier to see at night. The daytime, the camouflage is pretty good. It's better than it is at night. They're just trying to stay optically invisible. And literally, you can look up, there'll be a huge ship right over you, and you'll see the stars. You'll think you're looking at the stars. That's how good their camouflage is. They basically project exactly what's above them, downward, and so you think you're looking at the stars. And you can even see the constellations and everything else. And there's very little, when everything's working good on the ship, there's very little distortion, almost nothing that you can perceive. So it is pretty amazing technology. That's been developed by humans in the last 50 years, although Tesla was working on it way back in the pre-World War II. And that's where the original stories about
the Foo Fighters?
The Philadelphia experiment, that one. The Foo Fighters may have been extraterrestrial, but I suspect they were maybe German or maybe the super rich bankers. The super rich bankers formed in 1890s. They hired Keeley and Tesla and a few other people, a lot of other people, to start the anti-gravity stuff that went on. And literally, the ships were built the first ships were built in the 1890s. So that's a different group are a bunch of different secret cities that are the most advanced still to this day. Everybody else is behind. Yeah, all the other secret cities are behind them, and then of course the common people are last, basically, especially third world countries. Basically, they're the last ones to know what's going on, basically. So.
Wow.
But,
well, just like in today, the three of us realize how they're tearing down statues and trying to rewrite the United States history.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember when I saw in history books about the Philadelphia experiment, about it being recorded as military, and then those books disappeared.
Yeah.
And that writing disappeared, and then it just became fictional.
Yep.
Right.
All
yeah,
gone.
it's real. Tesla worked on it. Ron Brandt worked on it. They were both. Tesla was our fourth spokesman. Ron Brandt was our sixth spokesman. I'm the seventh spokesman. You know, both first-hand information from people that worked on it, and it's very real. It did disappear. Apparently teleported. The ship was designed to do optical invisibility, but the highest levels of the military, I guess of the Navy, I'm not sure who it was, but anyway, whoever was in charge insisted that they use nuclear material, and Tesla actually resigned. He was a very old man, and this was like 6 months before he died. He resigned from the project because he only worked on it with the agreement that he would be in charge of everything to do with the energy, and he knew that if you used nuclear batteries, it would cause instability, and this could result in death, people dying. And so he resigned, went back home, and Ron Brandt was under orders. He was a military man. Tesla was an independent contractor, but Ron Brandt was military. He was enlisted, so he was under orders to make it work. And they got a lot of other scientists in there, and they made it work, but it had some serious side effects. A lot of people died. The story isn't, in other words, the story's in the fiction probably, but it's pretty close to what happened. I don't know about the time travel part of it. There's no confirmation there that I know of, but the people being fused into the metal of the ship and stuff like that, people being in agony and so on.
It's horrible stuff.
Yeah, that was, most of them died. I think all of them died within a few months of the experiment, maybe a few years maximum. They survived, but it definitely did a lot of human damage. So, but that was the beginning of invisibility or camouflage, and they
cloaking.
Yeah, they perfected it since then to where it's quite advanced nowadays. So like you say, there's huge ships buzzing all over the place. You don't hear anything, you don't see anything, unless you got the right equipment. Then you can see something. Yeah. So people think radar invisibility is a big deal, but that's nothing compared to optical.
Yeah.
And
So you can't see it. How scary is that? You can't see it, and they're right there. All right, we're going to take a break. We won't be gone long, and we'll be right back. And don't go away tonight. Red Pill Reality Show with Angel, Sir Timothy Thrapp with the WITTS Ministries. We are talking about advanced technologies, how WITTS can help us and make a brighter future for everybody. So don't go away. It won't be just a quickie here. Here we go.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show on the LNM Network. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
Grace has some pretty stellar arms, like Serena Williams good. but her face is pretty disgusting.
Someone please tell him to go back into his closet and leave us alone.
Brittany's face is so stupid and I hate her so much. It's like a scientist created her in a lab to annoy humanity and didn't even do that good of a job.
Megan reminds me of a troll doll that came to life intent on killing us with her stupidity.
Why is Grace's head so big? It definitely has nothing to do with how smart she is and probably everything to do with how bloated she is.
He's so funny. Just kidding. Who would find this disfigured flamingo funny?
Never post a selfie of yourself. You look so ugly.
The only reason you have so many views is because we think you're a freak and we can't look away.
Megan is the main reason that the world sucks so much.
I would rather get cancer than listen to another Trevor Moran song.
You are a mistake. You should have never been born.
Drown yourself in a shallow puddle, please.
Wow, I hope she's sterile.
These really stopped being funny a long time ago.
You're so much more than the things that people say about you.
Those people have no right to say cruel things to you to make themselves feel better.
It's okay that you sound different than everyone else.
That's what makes you so special.
We will not tolerate it. We will not tolerate it.
We will not tolerate
We
it.
will not tolerate it.
Every day, people make me feel like I stand out simply because of the way that I look.
Every day people make me feel small.
Every day I face the cruel words of bullying.
And every day people tell me that I'm brave for enduring this humiliation.
But we're not the brave ones.
It's the ones that say no to the bullying.
The witnesses.
If we all join together, there's nothing that we can't do. We will no longer be the silent majority.
When we see bullying online,
We will let the world know that we're going to take action with the eye.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
Our actions will overpower cruel words.
I am a witness.
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 There is power in words.
But it's nothing compared to the power of the actions that we put behind our words.
Visit eyewitnessbullying.org to learn more.
I am a witness, and so are you.
I'm gonna stand by you.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
We have ignition. Strap in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show with your host, Liz Scala, every Saturday night on the LNM Network from 9 p.m. to midnight. And now your host, Liz Scala.
All right, we are back. It is the Red Pill Reality Show. I am your host, Riscala. Tonight I have Angel Strong with me. She's my co-host. and always an honor and a privilege to have her on. And tonight it's like having a double chocolate banana split sundae with all the workings, because I have Sir Timothy Thrapp with WITTS Ministries on with me tonight. So not only do I have the pleasure of having the angel, I have Sir Timothy Thrapp, who represents a ministry that is out there to help the world become a better place. And, a lot of people can say a lot of things, but their actions prove what they're saying. He mentioned earlier about their technology being used to clean up a river that was extremely polluted and wasn't something that was very elegant by any stretch of the imagination. And using their technology, one of the technologies that they have, just one, they were able to clean this body of water up pretty quickly. And for that, he actually was knighted in thanks of that. So anyway, let me bring both of them back on. Angel, welcome back on.
Thank you.
And Sir Timothy, we are back. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us tonight.
Hey, awesome. Honored to be here, brother. Appreciate it. And yeah, it's fascinating what's possible. And, people just need to work together. I'll just refer to the website, witts.ws. That's WITTS.ws. And work together, and we can make this world a beautiful place. The corruption goes away if enough people are focused on the light and emphasize the solutions. And I think the corruption is losing. I'm very optimistic that things are turning around for the good and for the positive. Yeah. Should we talk about the health and healing and reverse aging? What do you think, brother?
Yeah. Before we do that, I want to definitely talk about that in just a second. I wanted to, because there was a couple of questions regarding that's the best way I can explain it. When people understand where this energy comes from, we were talking about earlier, and we mentioned ether. I explain it by, this is the way that my analogy works for it, is that there's somewhere that this electricity happens that the lightning occurs from, somewhere that lightning gets its power from. This is what we're talking about.
Yes. Yeah, there's a huge amount of energy available in thunderstorms and storms in general. And everybody knows, pilots typically are concerned about flying through storms because of lightning and so on, flying under storms and near storms. The big airplanes have a lot of specialized equipment just to dissipate lightning. But there's 2,000 storms roughly going on somewhere in the world, total on the earth at any given time, and thousands of lightning strikes every second. And each one of those is billions of watts power, trillions of volts probably, and typical lightning strike is 200,000 amps. And so there's a huge amount of energy available in our environment, and the storm is a proof of that. And really, the machines that Tesla developed in Keeley and the ministry and that I still build, and others with the ministry still build, those machines do in many ways mimic the storm. They pick up power right out of the environment, and it's way over unity. It's not there's no fossil fuel being burned to produce a storm. It's way over unity, and it's constantly picking up power. And actually what's happening is they're overcharging, and they have to short out to the ground. That's why you get these huge arcs. There's so much power potential in a storm that it's constantly shorting out, and that's what the lightning strikes are. Even volcanoes even volcanoes, there's electrical phenomena associated with it, quite a bit of it. Many times, big, huge lightning bolts.
I've noticed that when they're active, there's a lot of lightning around them.
Yeah, and also tornadoes are electrical phenomena as well.
Yeah, that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So
wow.
A lot of electricity or like electricity in nature. It's not exactly the same as what we're used to with flowing through electric wires generated by regular generators. This other energy is kind of in a class by itself.
Okay, so I want to get on to the health thing, but I want to share this with the listeners. When I was 5 years old, I was born in Cairo, Egypt. When I was 5 years old, my dad took me to see the Great Pyramid of Giza. I went with him, very excited as a young child. One of the things I always wanted to do was to be able to touch the pyramid. So I snuck up there and I touched the pyramid, and I felt this energy come out of this pyramid. I'm telling you, I remember vividly feeling this strange energy, almost like when your hand goes to sleep and wakes up with a mild electrical shock mixed in. It was just unlike anything I'd ever felt before in my life. I told my dad touched the pyramid. He didn't feel anything. I think that I felt it because at that young age I was sensitive to what was going on still. I wasn't introduced to all the different things that kind of drag you away from that. So anyway, many years later, I described earlier in the show a circuit that I put with the 9-volt batteries. Part of that circuit was, for the life of me, I still don't understand how this works. Part of that circuit was a rubber hose. Okay, if you know anything about electricity, you know that rubber is an insulator. It's like oil and water. The electricity and rubber, it just won't go through it. Generally speaking, there are circumstances where it will, but generally speaking, it doesn't do that. When I watched this circuit run, Sir Timothy asked me to touch this portion of rubber. He said, touch the portion of rubber with one finger. And I touched it, and it surprised me. I pulled my finger back. And then he said, touch it with 2 fingers. Well, I held my finger there longer when I touched it with the 2 fingers. And it took me back to when I was 5 years old. That sensation was the same sensation that I felt when I touched that pyramid at 5 years old. It was the same feeling, a feeling of almost like when your leg goes to sleep as it's coming back out. I think they call it needles and pins, mixed with a mild, a very easy, tolerable voltage to go with it. And it's unlike anything. I've been shocked by up to 240 volts, and it is the nastiest thing you ever want to be shocked by. Getting shocked by the circuit was different. It was just, there's no other way I can describe it. It wasn't the electricity that we use day in and day out. It's different.
Yeah. This dominant energy is much more compatible to life, and it is life energy. It's not ordinary electricity. And that confuses a lot of people, when they're trying to learn, how energy flows and how energy works. If it doesn't look exactly like electrons, they want to throw it out, as some kind of trick or some kind of magic or something like this. But no, natural energy is healthy, unless you get a huge amount. But there's even people hit by lightning, which is 200,000 amps typically on a typical lightning strike, and could be 1 billion volts. It's come all the way from the cloud. There's people hit by lightning that survive, and we have a video we showed on the program. You could probably still find it on YouTube. One guy gets hit by lightning 3 times.
Yeah. I saw that. I remember that. That was not his lucky day. Unbelievable. Really was unbelievable. 3 times.
And he survived. He staggered off, going home. But, he was unconscious for a while. But, all 3. I think the second and the third time he went unconscious. But, it's basically dominant energy is the same electrical energy that's in your body. And so your body can handle large amounts of it. But some people, of course, do burn up and get killed and so on. Not everybody can handle it, but some people can handle more than others. But it shows you that it's not near as lethal as electrons. What we're used to with 60 cycles is much more lethal than natural electricity. Natural electricity is good for you in moderate amounts. In large, lightning strikes, that's taking your life in your own hands if you deliberately get a lightning strike. But
don't want to deal with that. Okay, so one more question before we get on to the health thing. This circuit that I was describing, how long was that tube? Was it a foot long, 9 inches?
Yeah, I'd say about 10 inches. It's a 10-inch hose similar to what...
Like a radiator hose, it looked like.
Yeah, like that, a small radiator hose like that. if you remember, I didn't have an on and off switch. What I did is I would hook up the clip lead right to one end of the hose, and that would start the motor.
Right.
And, and so
That's what blew my mind. I just that
the
doesn't make
energy
sense.
has to be flowing through that hose. And you can look at that hose. We've had people ask for pieces of the hose. The hose used to be a foot long, but a number of people asked for a piece, so I cut them off a quarter of an inch or something like that. Let them take it home and analyze it, and they can't believe it. It's just rubber hose.
It's just, it looks like radiator hose from the days when I used to work on cars. It looks like a standard radiator hose to me, automotive radiator hose.
Not reconducting electricity, but it does.
How you get it to do what it does, for the life of me, it goes against everything I've been taught.
Well, basically, dominant energy will travel through insulators, and so that's one of the distinct differences between natural electricity and electrons. Electrons, very difficult to get them to travel through a rubber hose, if not impossible. But dominant energy, it loves to travel through insulators. And then you think, well, how in the world can you ever harness it? It's because it goes through insulators. Well, it is mildly intelligent, or maybe it's largely intelligent. And so it does tend to cooperate with you if you're persistent and take authority over it. We have authority over all the earth. So you can get it to cooperate, and once it starts behaving properly, it usually will stay behaving properly for a very long time. There's other things you can do. There's basically three types of natural energy, and you can balance the three out, and then they want to stay balanced. Once you get them balanced, they want to stay balanced. So there is an intelligence level behind this area. The earth itself is intelligent in this part of the earth.
I've always believed that the earth itself is a life form in and of itself, providing life for others as well. I've always believed that.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you want to get more information about this, you can go to WITTS, WITTS.ws. There's videos there of some of the stuff that they have. The one that always knocks my socks off is the, I think you call it a quantum generator. It has no moving parts in this thing. Appears to be about half the size of a basketball cut in half. Has, again, no moving parts, just a couple of wires coming out of it. And he plugs in a drill, a light, even starts his car with it using this thing. And if you know anything about what it takes to start a car, that's a heap of power right there. May not be a lot of voltage, but it's a lot of amperage to get that starter motor cranked up and going. It's very impressive. It has always amazed me because there's no moving parts in it. It's just sort of like a receiver. Anyway, get more information. You can watch the videos, wits.ws. We're going to move on to the health portion. Before I go, I want to make sure that, Angel, have you got any questions about the energy part before we move into the health part?
Well, Sir T brought up something, about the lightning. And of course, we all know that is like static electricity because clouds move and it builds up static voltage. So that brings me back to the biblical text where God the Father is so funny. He gives us this little minutia in one of the scriptures saying for the priest to go, and of course I'm Jewish, for the priest to go into the Holy of Holies, they had to sew golden bells on the hems of their robe. So as they're walking against the wool and the bells kind of built up a static electricity so they wouldn't get shocked. So he gives us these clues about electricity doing it in a form of antiquity. So I always turn everything back to the biblical text because all the answers are in there. Even the stuff that Sir T is saying is really just bringing the biblical text forward. And one other thing, those Egyptian pyramids that you were touching, Riscala, they used to have limestone like all around it. So it would be like an insulator. I mean, back when it was fresh. So they had built, if it were like a type of battery, it had that golden top to it, kind of like a copper top battery or something. So who knows what kind of energy came out of that thing?
Yeah, those were generators. Those are dominant energy generators. All pyramids,
I agree.
All pyramids put out, to this day, if you go to the top of them, you got the right kind of meter, you'll get some huge readings. And even the Big Pyramid in Giza, and probably others as well. If you just simply swing a conductive object, you stand on the top and you swing a conductive object around you, you'll draw electric arcs all like that. And those were transmitters of electricity. The whole valley, if the pyramid's working properly, the whole area will become much more lush and green and healthy and so on. Once they get vandalized, seriously, they're not working as good, but they still have a certain amount of energy that is being broadcast, and they are picking it up right from the earth. You could say they're a coupled oscillator, coupled to the earth itself. The earth itself vibrates at different frequencies, and they're all dominant energy frequencies. And
absolutely, and that's why Riscala said his dad. You had told me before, Riscala, that your dad thought you were imagining.
Right.
You got
right.
that little
Yep.
shock. But no, it's a conductor of some sort.
Yeah, children are much more sensitive to fields. We in our work we call it sensitives, people that are sensitive, and children are always more sensitive to dominant energy fields. They can feel them much easier. I remember when I was a kid, I could feel, much easier the fields flowing through the earth and flowing through the trees, and it felt a little like electricity, just like Brother Scala was explaining, a little bit like electricity and a little bit like pins and needles.
Yeah,
and
it's weird. It's a weird feeling. Weird feeling.
And when it's strong enough, everybody feels it. But there's different levels of sensitivity, and like I said, children are much more sensitive, generally speaking. Cows are very sensitive, and that's why farmers often will have trouble with stray voltage. There's a power line nearby or a power line underground or whatever, and they have trouble with stray voltage. It's a very common problem, and they know it because the cows don't behave right, they don't give milk right, and so on. They're very sensitive. Those type of animals are very sensitive to dominant energy or other kinds of energy, that's especially when it's not working right, or if they're on a ley line that the cows don't do well. There's one one farmer I know that he had to separate the ley line, fence off the ley line, and because every time the cows would go over there, they would get scared from the electric shock. And the cows would feel it. People didn't feel it, but the cows felt it, and they wouldn't give milk for 3 or 4 days.
Wow!
He had to build 2 different fences and keep the cows on one side or the other, and don't let them cross very much at all. If they do cross, make it fast, and don't let them stop to eat the grass or anything. And because when they eat the grass, they can get a shock in their tongue, and the cows would. And people wouldn't feel it, but the cows are very sensitive, and it scared them so bad they wouldn't.
Amazing how the animals can pick it up, and I've read many articles about where I also saw a video not too long ago where animals can tell, for example, if an earthquake is coming, they can sense it and they take off. And there was a video of this dog sitting there and looked like in a workshop, and all of a sudden, it's like he saw a ghost. He got up and just scrambled out of that place, and within, I'd say, 3 or 4 seconds, the place started to shake. So yeah, it's amazing that animals can pick that energy up like that. All right, let's get into the health part, because this part is really of an interest to me as well, because I had suffered some health issues this year. First time in my life I'd ever had to deal with my heart issue. Had to have heart surgery, emergency heart surgery, in March of this year, and you brought about some ideas that I thought were absolutely amazing, and the Ministries kind of researching this out. So let's kind of get into that for a minute. And before I forget, I want to ask you about PEMF, pulsed electromechanical field, I think it is, or frequencies, I'm not sure. And if you're familiar with that and what it is.
Well, I've heard the term before, and pulsed electromechanical fields, I would believe, I'm just kind of shooting from the hip on this, but I would believe these are electric fields that are pulsed, so they could be like a small EMP or something like that is what I would guess those are. And of course, there's also a lot of noise. There's pulsed noise that's being used for communication. People complain about the 4G, 5G, 6G. I don't know what it is, 5G or 6G. I'm glad I don't
Well,
have to deal with it.
the reason I'm asking you about this is that this is being introduced into the health industry. Supposedly, these PEMF generators help the body circulation. They help the circulation. And Angel, do you know anything about PEMF?
Well, I know enough about it because it has to do on a cellular level because we're electric. I mean, Sir T knows it, you know it, the audience knows that we're measured, electroencephalogram, electrocardiogram. So anytime we have a blood and oxygen, they're regenerating cells with this magnetic field. We're electric beings.
Yes.
Seriously. I mean, that's what we are. We are not exactly AI because we're not that intelligent, but we are just all electric beings. So when they do this, they're oxygenating and regenerating some type of cells.
Yeah. Okay. I know what you're talking about now. Electrotherapy, and there is a pulse where it induces fields into the body. It's not the ordinary. The older ones were more or less electric shocks, and those are like TEMS units and stuff like that. But these newer ones are actually inducing induction, pulsing into the body, and they do claim a lot of health benefits. I haven't tried it myself, but
Was that the RIFE technology, the RIFE, RIFE technology? Was that what that was?
Well, Rife used small pulses of different kinds, but the newer ones I'm thinking of, they use a large pulse, and your body inductively picks it up. It's not a, it's basically an inductive transfer from there's different rings that can go around your whole body.
Mm-hmm.
Put that around you, and it pulses, and you feel it in your body. It literally sends a pulse in and helps your body work better. Basically, even there's people that were partially paralyzed, and it helps stimulate the muscles and get the muscles moving again. And people may say it really helps them a lot. It probably does. There's a lot of uses for magnetism. So that's basically a pulse magnetic field.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Rife technology is mostly electrical impulses. He can hook up easy in his machine, and I've seen a lot of these like this. Even the TEMS unit is a little bit like this. TEM is how they usually abbreviate the unit. These things pulse at different frequencies, and that also helps heal the nerves, relax the muscles, and
I have those. I own those machines. The resonant light, also, which is it's like wavelengths. You have to program for whatever you have that you need. It has a gazillion programs for whatever ails you. And then you program it to what bank that you want to use. And then first you start with wellness for a few days. And I have seen it work. I know that people think that this is new age. This is antiquity. These stuff has been around forever.
Yep.
Yes.
Rife goes back quite a ways. All right. Well, I was curious about that because a mutual friend of ours had asked me about that, and I told him I'd ask you about the PEMF. So the ministry now is kind of headed in a direction where we can help people directly in their lives and live a better life quality and so forth. And you've been at that for a little while now. Share that with me.
Yeah, regarding health and healing and anti-aging, we do have another website that we just put up, and it seems to be out of, not really turned on yet, but people can write it down if you want. Hopefully within a day or two it'll be on. You can go there if you want. It's Reverse Age Me, and you got to have a dash and a dot in there. So reverse dash age dot then me. So reverse age me. Yeah, it's actually technology. I worked on this when I was 16, 15. I worked in the alternative health and healing before I met the ministry. I didn't meet the ministry until I was about 25 years old or so. And before that, I worked in alternative health and healing. And we came up with some pretty good formulas. But recently, I got poisoned. I say about 6 months ago. I got poisoned with 8 months ago. I got poisoned with stearate, magnesium stearate. It's toxic to most people if you get too much, and it's in all your vitamins and stuff like this. And I almost died from that. And before I realized what it was killing me. And I do believe in divine healing and the power of God, so God helped a lot. But the way I felt, I was pretty sure I wasn't going to live very long, so I needed to start looking and searching to see if anybody's continued our work in the alternative healing. And I did manage to find some formulas, and so we are offering reverse aging now for people that we can. I've gone back about 5 years now, maybe 10, in that range. We can all reverse age. If you're getting over 50, it's something everybody should think about. There is a suggested donation on the website, and we will teach you how to reverse age. There's a multiple formula. I'd say about 10 different formulas, depending on your own situation, your own health, and what your health issues are, and so on. But we can pretty much cure any disease and reverse age people both at the same time if people, do what we tell them. And so I call myself a health coach rather than a medical doctor, because I'm not a medical doctor. I do have advanced degrees in other disciplines, but not medicine. And I don't really like medical doctors much. I think most of them are scamming people, in my opinion. But anyway, health coach is probably good enough terminology. And so if you're interested in that, anybody out there listening is interested, do feel free to send us an email. You can use witts.ws, and we'll correspond with you. And most people qualify for a free short consultation, 15 minutes or so, and that'll help get you squared away if you're interested in pursuing it. And Brother Escala is going to be trying one of the formulas soon, and the formulas are awesome. I'll just tell you that we sent him a sample, so
I'm excited. Yep, to see what happens. I need all the anti-aging I can get.
Yeah, me too. This one that you're going to take, Brother Escala, is really good for cleaning out your arteries. People that have
yeah, that's where I need help right now. The arteries are plugging up, and the blood pressure is going up as a result of the arteries plugging up, and so it's like a domino effect between all of that. And I despise the medicine that I'm on, but I don't really have any choice right now. I'm putting up with it for this period of time, but I want to get away from it as quickly as I can.
Yeah, you'll be trying it out, and let us know how it does for you. I think it'll reduce your blood pressure, and so on. So and it clean out your arteries. It's this particular formula was tested by several Japanese studies or groups, whatever you want to call it, and I think over 100 patients. I think it was 200 and something, and all of them had marked results as far as lower cholesterol in their arteries, the cleaning of the arteries, let's say it that way, and also lower blood pressure and more stamina in general for the people. And your age is a product of how you feel and look and how you perform, and these can all be tested. There's physical age, and then there's actual age, and we know that in the Bible, before the flood of Noah's day, common for people to live 800 or 900 years. If they didn't get into a fight or a war or get killed, that was their normal lifespan. And nowadays, the human lifespan is like 70 years, 80 years, like that. And that's much, much shorter than we've been designed to live. So these formulas that are being developed and have been developed recently, a lot of them were top secret for many, many years. And we've figured out how to get a hold of them and how to get them to the people. And so it's going to change a lot of lives. I think people can live, if you get on it, you're only 50, you probably can live to be 120 or something like that is what I would guess, without much problems with your health. And by then, who knows, maybe we'll have other formulas that'll give you back to 900 years is what I think we should all be able to live as long as we want. Let's say it that way, with health and pain and suffering is not part of God's design. God has divine healing, supernatural healing, but not everybody can receive that because of where they are spiritually. And so I think I know that these formulas are natural, by the way. So natural formulas are God intends for us to use. In one case, he says in the Bible, he says the leaves of the trees are for the healing of the nations, and so you can see that trees are very healthy. The right kind of tree, the right leaf, and so on. So there's many different formulas that can bless people, and that's one of the things we're promoting at this time.
And totally biblical. Totally biblical too.
That's right. That's right. The King Asa, I believe, in the Old Testament, cancer, and the prophet told him to make a poultice of fig leaves and put that on the cancer, and the cancer was healed. So, so it is biblical. Natural formulas do work, and people can be reverse aged. I've seen it now with about 30 different people, and myself included, 5-10 years younger. And then you age slower as well. So if you continue on the regimen, and you can choose, depending on your health situation, you can choose, how much you want to do, and the more you do, the more results you get, and the less you do, the less results. But all of all the stuff we recommend and we teach is good stuff. So it'll bless people.
And if you want more information, the easiest way right now is to go to the WITTS website, which is WITTS.ws. And if you missed the other website, it's reverse-age.me. Reverse-age.me. That should be up within the next couple of days. I tried to get it up, and it's still showing that it's under construction, but it should be up in the next couple of days. You can get all more specific information there, or you can get more information about the wide variety of things that WITTS does and has done and is going to do on their regular site, which is witts.ws. An amazing conversation. If you're just tuning in, listen to the archive, because we have spoken about quite a few things tonight. And some people, I think, are maybe still be reeling from what Sir T said earlier, very, very casually, like it was no big deal, that he helped work on flying saucers. I think you told me at one time, Sir T, that these, what we call flying saucers, they've been around for over 100 years. Earth manufactured, made here. They've been around for over 100 years?
That's correct. 1890, it's either 1890 or 1892. I've heard the story both ways, but it's a true story. People, repeating. I'm positive it's true. It's in the history books as well. There was a World's Fair, and Keeley was there, and he was demonstrating. John Worrell Keeley. He was demonstrating levitation, big spheres about 3 feet in diameter, maybe a meter diameter. There was 13 of them. And he'd whistle or play a certain note. He was a master at all kinds of musical instruments. And if he a certain note, they'd all rise up off the stage and start rotating around the center. The center one would act like the sun, and the others like planets, except that they're all on the same distance from the center, evenly spaced. And he'd have people up, ask the people in the audience come up and try to stop them from rotating and try to pull them down. They're like 6 feet off the ground, most of on the demos. And people would grab them, and they could not stop them, could not slow them down, nothing. They could climb up on top of them, sit on them even. One guy managed to do that. And he said it would take something like 200,000 tons to move them an eighth of an inch from their orbit. Just tremendous. This is Keeley, and he was a master at anti-gravity and energy, both. He was a master at all types of vibration, He been raised by a man. His adopted father was a master of making all kinds of musical instruments, and Keeley mastered it when he was quite young. And Keeley actually invented his first free energy machine, perpetual mobile, if you want to call it that, when he was, I think, about 10 years old, 9 or 10 years old. He made it out of seashells. He went to the beach and got a bunch of shells. He lived at that time. He lived near the ocean. I think it was South Carolina, what we call South Carolina today. I don't know what it was called back then. This is back 1800, probably South Carolina back then too. But and then he later moved to Pennsylvania. His family moved to Pennsylvania, and he did most of his work in Pennsylvania. But yeah, he made out of seashells. He made a wheel that would continuously rotate, and the sound of the shells passing each other created the vibrations, the audio vibrations. You couldn't really hear it, from what I understand, but in other words, it wasn't necessarily in the audio range, or it was very quiet, one or the other. But they would continuously rotate. They would contract and repel. The shells were the stator shells and the rotor shells would attract each other and then repel after they got lined up. And this was something he built when he was just a young man, about 10 years old. And along that line, Ron Brandt, who was our sixth spokesman for World Improvement Ministry, I'm the seventh spokesman. Ron Brandt, who was the sixth spokesman, when he was about 12 or 13, maybe 10 years old, somewhere in that range, he also built a free energy system that was no moving parts, that would put out a small amount of electricity. And he basically found a couple of rocks that he arranged a certain way and got them to produce electricity. He could light a little light, or he could also use them for antenna and get the radio in real well with this particular set of rocks, two little rocks that he had found. And, you know, I say little. One of them was about 3 or 4 inches in diameter. The other one was probably an inch and a half in diameter. And these were special materials that he understood intuitively. Ron Brandt was very intuitive. Probably Keeley was too, and probably Tesla was as well. But intuitively, Ron Brandt understood that these, if he arranged them right, he could get energy, and he did. He got he could run a little motor even, which that's right off a rock, right off a couple rocks. We're not talking a battery effect. There's no water, no liquids, and no acids of anything. It's literally connecting up rocks and pulling energy out of the air. And I asked him how he held the rocks he held the wires onto the rocks, and initially he did it by hand, just with his hands. But then after a while, he carefully put it in a vise and added some glue. Held it tight with with the vise and put some glue in there, and he had the rocks glued to each other, and he had the wires glued to the rocks. And he could take the output of that and run a little light, or run a motor, or hook up a radio, and it would be much stronger receiver for certain channels. I don't know if it worked for all channels, but that shows you how some people have a gift from the Lord. It's like they're born with it. At an early age, they start working in certain areas, certain fields of work, and they become quite adept, quite gifted in these different areas to do amazing things. And Ron Brandt was one of those people. I think John Worrell Keeley was one of them. Tesla was one of them. And Tesla's mother, if you read the history, Tesla's mother was very gifted in inventing.
Wow.
So he
I had no idea.
it. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that you told me early on when I first met you was the closer you get to God, the more advanced your technologies become. So I would think that you're someone who's pretty close, because your technologies are pretty amazing.
Yeah, thank you, brother. God gives wisdom, and I say it comes intuitively mostly. So those who seek Him, the Bible says that. It says, "You will find me if you seek for me with all your heart." So I think all of us, have to meditate and seek God, and then it becomes clearer. Solutions to all kinds of problems become clearer, and God's all about helping. And thank God, He's a wonderful Savior. He's the one he's all we need. There's a song, he's all we need, and it's true. He's all we need. If everybody had more of God, the world would be a beautiful place, The more of God we have, the better it gets. So it's good.
Amen. I can't argue with that.
I agree. I also wanted to throw this in. This is kind of a curveball, but when you're talking about all these geniuses that have come up with all of these ways of producing anything that's like a spaceship or anything that can levitate, cavemen were drawing these. Now, they can't possibly have watched an old Fred Flintstone cartoon to come up with exactly the type of things that we're talking about now have been found in 10 to 100,000-year-old cave drawings of the same type of craft.
Yes. You want me to comment? Yeah, I think there were people visiting here a long time ago. So in other words, we're not the only planet that God created life on, and I think his hobby is creating. God the Father loves to create. Baby Jesus loves to create as well. Holy Spirit loves to create, and the planets are probably all. There's life on just about all the planets. Wouldn't surprise me in the least. And some of them are intelligent enough to build ships and come visit here. That's what I think. And some of them are still visiting. That's what I think. And they visited a long, long time ago. And maybe they have secret cities here too. I've heard rumors, and that's what the one guy that was in Phil Snyder was saying, that they have secret cities. These extraterrestrials have secret cities even here.
Yep.
And of course, on the moon they have secret cities, and they have ships that are big enough, motherships that are big enough for the whole city right on the ship, and so on. Yeah, so this technology is not new, but you could say it's new for mankind, or new in this renaissance, this rebirth, this that we're in right now. Since Galileo, we've kind of made some progress technology-wise, come out of the dark ages, and so now a lot of good things are possible that never were possible before. Without God or somebody, some higher intervention, these things were not possible before. But
Sir T, I have asked, and I'm going to let you guys go, but I want to just say this as my parting thing, because I've really thoroughly enjoyed this, and I'm going to go to the website, and I can't wait to find out this anti-aging. But the fact is, today, the younger generation, if a spaceship landed, they would not freak out, because they're inundated with it from every cartoon, or the majority of cartoons, the majority of movies, the majority of TVs has it as if it's already happened. Do you understand what I'm saying? So kids, like back in the day, people were supposedly believing the War of the Worlds, that was real, and people were committing suicides or whatever the movie was, or radio show. Today, I don't think there would be I know there wouldn't be in young children, because they just think that's normal.
Right.
That's a sad thought, too. It really is a sad thought as well.
I know, but they're not scared of alien. They wouldn't be.
Yeah.
I think they've just been raised to believe on every movie, as long as it doesn't look like a reptile, if it looks like a human, because according to the biblical text, people that visited who are extraterrestrial ate with Abraham under a tree. They're not from here, so they're non-terrestrial. They're ETs. Messiah's not from this world, so he's extraterrestrial, whether you want to call him an alien or not. He's not from here.
Mm-hmm.
So the biblical text is replete with people that are not from this planet.
That's right. Yeah. Pretty much all the angels not from this planet, and Messiah, and God the Father, and yeah, I agree 100%. Extraterrestrial is probably a good terminology. They're not alien. I mean, they've created this world. So the word alien is that kind of makes you think it's far away and it's kind of creepy or whatever. But they're extraterrestrial. They're God's the supreme being, the supreme extraterrestrial, God the Father, and he's created, it's awesome.
He's not from here, so what does that make him? Doesn't make him less of God our Father. It just makes him from not here. And other than that, I'm going to sign off. It was a great show. I've learned a lot. I will be on your website, and I can't wait. That anti-aging thing, my ear went up like that. I was like an alien antenna when I heard that.
Okay, sis.
So,
all right.
To talk to you again.
Thank you, Angel.
You,
Appreciate it.
And thank you, Rascala, for letting me join in on such
It's always a pleasure.
great
Always.
topic.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, my dear.
Okay. I'm going to continue to listen, though. I'm not disappearing.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good to meet you.
So while she's mentioned the anti-aging thing, you've been at this for a little while now, and you mentioned that you feel younger and you look younger. I mean, I've personally seen the difference in the way you look. Do you think, my personal feeling, if it's showing on the outside, it's got to be doing something on the inside. Don't you think that would be true?
Oh, yeah. More energy, stronger, more endurance. Exercise is important, and eating right is important. But as you get older, the body, most people, it's more and more difficult to do exercise. And yet, so these formula that we're teaching people about and helping people to receive and to get, they basically they give you more zip, more strength, more endurance, and you're quicker in your mind usually. You can think a little faster. As you age, most people's brain slows down, and you don't need to have that. Basically, the brain does not need to slow down, in my opinion, and the same with the body. The body should last, in my opinion, 900 years. That they lived that long before the flood. We should be able to live that long now. And it's just basically a matter of getting the right things into your body to do to help you, basically. Otherwise, we are limited around 70 or 80 years in this life.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, our spirits live forever. So, if we die, we go to God, and, that's wonderful too. I also believe Jesus is coming back real soon. But, as long as I'm here in this body, I want to do everything I can to bless the Lord, and to magnify the Lord, to teach the Word of God, and to help bless people, the poor, feed the hungry, teach them, how to survive, how to prosper. And so, I can do more of that if my body's younger than if my body's older. I can't do near as much, And I felt when I got that stearate poison, which is in most vitamins. I'll tell the listeners. Watch out for magnesium stearate. It's in most vitamins, and you can easily poison yourself if you get too much of that. So I'm sharing that to tell you that if you get too much of it, you feel like you're 100 years old. And I felt like I was, and I looked like I was 100 years old. And I felt like I was dying. And people said, "You look like you're dying." I felt like I was dying. And got jaundice all over, liver failure, kidneys weren't working right, and so thank God for these formula. These are the same things I was working on when I was a teenager, early 20s, and some of them are the same things. And they've advanced it even further. And of course, some of it was, I just found out, some of it was around for 50, 60 years, just top secret. And
wow.
Somebody developed this 56 show before I was even working on it. Somebody had already developed it, and it was kept top secret in the secret cities. And I'm sure they have formulas that are even better than these in the secret cities. I've heard rumors, and you may or may not have heard the program we had William Thompson on. Did you get to hear that program, brother?
I think I know which one. What was he talking about?
He talked about a number of things with Lockheed and Skunk Works, but one of the things he exposed was that there is a top secret formula that was originally supposedly given to the Germans by a group of extraterrestrials, and it would make people young again. I mean, fully young again. The women, it would make them like 21, 22 years old again.
Wow.
And men, it would make you like 28, 29 years old again, regardless how old you were when you started taking this. And that formula is extremely top secret to this day. But I'm gonna see if I think might get a meeting with Trump. I might get a meeting face to face with Trump. I'm gonna talk to him about that formula, amongst other things. That's not first on the list.
That would be neat. Yeah.
To see, he's probably heard rumors about it too, but he has, he possibly has the ability to get it basically. So if anybody can get it, I would think he could. And I know who has it. One organization in the worldwide that has it. And of course, a lot of the secret cities have it too. But I know I can tell him where we need to go, and if he wants. Anyway, so there's some really good formulas out there too, but really top secret too. But and the ones we offer give you about 5 years reverse age, 3 to 5 years, depending on how much you want to do, up to 10 years reverse age. Depends on how much you want to do. In other words, do you want to take one formula? You want to take 3 formulas? You want to take 4 formulas? It depends on what you want to do. And some people are not, they're not willing to even exercise. You exercise and a healthy diet are important in any reverse aging program. You can get some benefit without it, but if you want maximum benefit, you really need to. People really need to. It could be as simple as walking. Exercise could be as simple as walking an hour or 2 a day in the morning, early mornings, or you don't. If your knees hurt or you're old or whatever, you don't have to jog. You could be swimming. An hour or 2 hours a day. Just some kind of exercise is important for reverse aging. But we teach the whole program. We tailor it to each person depending on what the person's health issues might be. So when you go to wits.ws, you won't see anything on reverse aging right off, but just send us an email, request a 15-minute consultation, and we'll give you a free 15-minute consultation, help explain things to you, and how it works. And if you're interested, you can proceed from there. If you're not, then that's okay too. We're just happy to meet you and happy to bless you. And some people are not interested in getting younger. Have you run into people like that, Brother Scala?
Not right. Not anybody I can think of right off the bat.
I've run into a few. They say, I don't want to live any longer. That's what they say. I'm 70.
Oh yeah, I've had people tell me that. I don't know if they really mean it, but yes, I've had a lot of people I've felt like that sometimes. I just don't want to be here anymore. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the only time I felt like that was when I wasn't here, when I was with Jesus. I said, I love his day. Now you got to go back. Oh, man. So anyway, are we winding down? Is it the last?
Yeah, we've still got about another 15 minutes or so. I wanted to ask you about the battery charger. You had a special kind of battery charger for a while. Are you still doing? Is that still happening?
Yeah, it's still on the gifts page. We have 77 gifts on the gifts page. That's one of them. We do make those custom made for people, and they will charge most batteries in 5 minutes. Everything on the gifts page has a minimum donation, just so people know, so you can go there and look at it. And you want to go to Legacy Gifts. There's a abbreviated gifts page that doesn't have all the gifts on it. It has maybe 20 gifts on it or something. But if you go to Legacy Gifts on our website, wits.ws, and scroll down, I think a little over halfway, you see the battery charger. And I think it's called the Quantum Battery Charger. I think that's what it's called. But it'll charge most batteries in 5 minutes, and it's actually over Unity in some situations. It's very good for batteries, and it's a pretty amazing charger. There's probably 5 or 6 videos on just the charger on our video YouTube channel, which is WITTS 2014, if you can remember that, with only one T, WITTS 2014. There's about 50 videos on that channel, but 5 of them are just about the charger. And the charger is pretty amazing because it's the only charger that will charge almost any battery in 5 to 10 minutes in that range. So if you don't mind taking your cell phone battery out of your cell phone, it will charge you. And I don't recommend people, because it uses dominant energy, so you don't want to mix dominant energy with regular electronics, because you will mess up your phone. But you take your battery out and hook it up. it's a little bit of hassle, so some people don't want to do that. But it is an amazing charger. We could, work and develop and work and eventually get it to where you could plug it into your regular phone. I'm sure, but it's a lot, it's a lot of extra work. So for now, it's a charger that you just basically hook a battery to. You plug it in the wall, you hook a battery to it, and very efficiently, like 100% efficient, or 90, or sometimes even over 100, 110, 120. It'll charge that battery in 5 minutes, and without any damage to the battery or so on. It's 5 to 7 minutes.
That's amazing, because you have to be careful how fast you charge a battery. Generally speaking, with a regular battery charger, if you charge a battery, try to charge it too quickly, that battery could actually act as a bomb. It could actually blow up. So it's pretty neat when you have something like this that can actually enhance the battery, enhance the life of the battery because of the way that it brings the electrons back into the battery. I want to use the word horse. It doesn't horse them back in there. It gently puts them back in there. But the neat part about it is 5 minutes on, sometimes to recharge some of these batteries, one of the quick chargers are like an hour and a half. So you're talking about 5 minutes, and you more than likely have a better charge than had you charged it for an hour and a half. So it's pretty cool stuff. All right, so I'm going to take the last break, and then we're going to be back, and we'll finish up with Sir Timothy Thrapp of the WITTS Ministries. Don't go away. It won't be long, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show on the LNM Network. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Being a dad is an adventure full of special moments.
A cruise?
Surprise! Unexpected moments.
I got this.
And even awkward moments.
Okay, Dad, thank you.
But every moment you spend with your kids, even the smallest moments, can make the biggest impact on your child's life. So take a moment to be a dad today.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I wasn't sure if I could do it. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but the teachers, the counselors, they help you. One of the teachers was Miss Araceli. Miss Araceli, she gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll come over and she'll sit there with you until you get it. Thank you, Miss Araceli. I know you make a difference in people's lives because of the person and teacher you are. I wanted to be here because I wanted to thank you for helping me get a beautiful gift. 50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work. Getting your high school diploma, it is a life-changing experience. It really is.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Have you ever heard of Audible? Audible is a website with hundreds of thousands of audiobooks. They're all high quality, easy to listen to, and, best of all, if you take advantage of a special deal that we've worked out for you, you can get one for free. That's right, a free audiobook of your choice in any genre, simply by going to audibletrial.com/openeyes and signing up for the free trial. It's simple to do, and it would support the shows that we bring to you, and hey, you get a free book out of the whole thing. So why not take advantage of it today? Go to audibletrial.com/openeyes and sign up for the trial.
Ask 10 different scientists about the environment, population control, genetics, and you'll get 10 different answers. But there's one thing every scientist on the planet agrees on. Whether it happens in 100 years, or 1,000 years, or 1,000,000 years, eventually our sun will grow cold and go out. When that happens, it won't just take us. It'll take Marilyn Monroe, and Lao Tzu, and Einstein, and Morobuto, and Buddy Holly, and Aristophanes. All of this was for nothing. Unless we go to the stars.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
While other stations just talk a good game, we win it.
Hey, sounds like somebody's having a lot of fun.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Goes, 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 goes,
Now, from sunny South Florida, it's the Red Pill Reality Show with your host, Riscala. Every Saturday night from 9 p.m. to midnight on the L&M Network. And now...
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin.
All right, we are back. It is the Red Pill Reality Show. Oh my goodness, having a problem right there. It is a Red Pill Reality Show tonight. If you've missed out, we will have an archive up on our channel. You can always go to the Red Pill Reality Show on Facebook, and you'll see there's a list of archives there. We'll have an archive up because if you've missed tonight, you've missed out on quite a bit. Some really interesting information, useful information, as well as kind of renews the hope, if you will, that there are people here on the planet that really do want what's best for us. And they're not playing games behind your back. The history that they have speaks for itself. What they have done speaks for itself. What they're doing. Sir Timothy kind of led on to it, but he didn't spend much time on it. He personally goes out and oversees work being done at orphanages in other countries where these children have nobody. And someone like this steps up to the plate who certainly could be making, gosh, who knows how much money, but he's found something more important than that, and that is a fellow human being, particularly children, which are our future. So you combine that with the strong belief that he has in God and the faithfulness that he has to the Lord, combined with the advanced technologies, the ability to have the knowledge to know how to reverse gravity, if you will, how to have something that would, like when you have two magnets and you have a north and a north pole come together, how they repel from each other, where they have the technology that can repel gravity, and the result is a propulsion system. And they've been involved in, I know some of you think it's kind of far stretched, but they've been involved in the manufacturing of some of these things that we see up in the sky we call flying saucers. They have technology that allows us to generate electricity but yet use no fuel. They have technology that will help you with your body and reverse the aging process of your body. All of this stuff is to help people. Again, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and Sir Timothy will correct me, but I think their I can't think of the word. Their goal, anyway. What they tell me is that it's serve God first and mankind second. Is that how it is, Sir Timothy?
Amen, brother. You got it right. Yeah, Jesus said, they asked him what's the greatest command. He said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, all your strength. And the second greatest like it is to love your neighbor as yourself. And they asked him, who is it? Who's my neighbor? And he basically told them, the parable about the Good Samaritan. The Samaritans and Jews were kind of at odds with each other, kind of prejudiced against each other. And he basically taught that Jews are supposed to be helping Samaritans, and Samaritans are supposed to be helping Jews, and we're all supposed to be helping each other, even people we don't like. And, so that's really what it's all about, is loving each other, blessing each other, and helping each other, with God kind of love, and, taking care of people. It's awesome to be on the team of God, and that's what it's all about. I did have a comment regarding one of your commercials.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with all your commercials?
Yeah.
One of them is talking about going to the stars, I think. Is that what it's talking about?
Oh, that was that's a, excuse me, that's a video, an audio clip from one of the movies.
Was it? Okay. Yeah, he said that all scientists agree that the sun's going to go out, and so if we want to survive, we need to go to the stars. There's something to that effect. Is that?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm a scientist, and I don't agree the sun's going to go out.
Not anytime soon that I'm aware of.
I just want to make that clear. The reason being, the sun is a dominant energy device similar to a storm, and it is a storm. It's a planet-wide or star-wide storm. That's what suns are, the firestorm. And there's huge amounts of lightning and power coming in all the time to the sun from the quantum of the universe, or the substrate of the universe, or the ether of the universe. So the sun's not going to go out. I can just let everybody know that there is no danger of the sun going out.
And now that you mention the sun, here is another source of energy. And am I mistaken, Sir Timothy, the source of energy that the sun uses is this same source that we've been talking about, the dominant energy. Is that off base, or is that correct?
That's correct. That's absolutely correct.
So there's evidence that this energy exists. My gosh, look at what the sun does in one day. My goodness, in one day, how much it puts out. Of course, it's putting out 24/7, but to us, it's a day and a night because of the revolving of the Earth. Speaking of the revolving of the Earth, where does the power come from to turn this planet at a constant speed for God knows how many millions of years? Same place, right?
That's right. Dominant energy. Yeah. If you check it out, you'll find that they admit, almost all scientists now admit, that we are the Earth itself is in the atmosphere of the sun. Now, it's a thin atmosphere, I'll give you that, but we are in the atmosphere of the sun. So if we're in the atmosphere of the sun, there should be plenty of friction, or we should be losing a few seconds every day. And yeah, we're not losing a few seconds every day. They'll tell you that we're losing, 1 microsecond every year or something like this. But I seriously even doubt that, honestly. I think they just don't know how to measure that accurately, is what I think. But we're not losing much if we're losing anything, and I doubt we're losing anything, honestly. The Earth goes around 24 hours in a day, in 365 days a year, and it's been doing that a very, very, very long time. It hasn't been slowing down. If we are in the atmosphere of the sun, which I believe we are, it should be slowing down seconds or minutes every day, and to be stopped after. I think it's just It was just Newtonian motion that we're dealing with here, but obviously there is some power source as well, and that power source is the quantum. It's plain, and the same thing Keeley demonstrated in his demos with the 13 spheres. Nobody could slow them down, nobody could stop them, nobody could budge them out of their orbit. And and I think Job, God is speaking to Job in the book of Job, and it's saying who can do these things that I've done. In other words, God is the only one that can make the earth and establish it firmly, and it rotates properly, and it goes around the sun properly. Everything works properly and without deviation, not too early, not too late, etc. And God explains all that in the book of Job to Job. And I believe it's true. I don't believe there's anything about it slowing down. I don't.
Again, the reason I bring that up is because it is the source of the energy that you have the technology, you have the knowledge on how to receive this, if you will. I don't really know how to put it into words properly, but how to build a piece of equipment that would receive this energy, that would pull this energy out of the air, and from that you can get water or you can get electricity. What else is there anything else we can get from it?
Well, once you have water, people don't realize this, but once you have water, you can basically make anything you can imagine, including food, with the right type of machinery or machines. It's so replicators like they show on Star Trek, supposedly making matter from energy, is real technology. It's totally real. You can do that. I'm sure people are already perfected that. We've done it where you can make basic nutrition, basic food. It's something that needs to be mass produced again. Everybody should have one of these in their home. The food that we've made isn't by any means tasty, but it is calories at least. And of course, you need calories, you need vitamins, you need enzymes, you need proteins, you need all these different things, amino acids or basic proteins. You need these basic things to, so people can, so they're not starving. But of course, we can grow food too, and the dominant energy does help plants grow better. They help people grow better too. Dominant energy, if the right frequencies, can help you learn faster.
Wow.
If you check it out, Tesla. It's in the history books. It's in some of the videos about Tesla. He once was asked by I believe it was the dean or the professor of a certain school, if he could do anything to help the children because they were so slow to learn and easily distracted. And he within 3 days later, he came up with a drawing. He says, put these in the walls when you're building the next building or when you're adding on to this building. And he gave them diagrams of what to put in the walls, basically wiring, and it would vibrate at certain frequencies. And they did it. And since then, that school, I think, is still in operation to this day. And since then, all the students are much brighter people. All of them score much higher and everything than comparable schools still. So it shows you even dominant energy can help people grow and develop properly or better than they would otherwise. And I think that's one of the reasons before the flood that people lived 900 years. I think the energy of the earth was more balanced and more, everything was better. Everything was more correct. We do know that there is a self-replicating fertilizer that's been discovered multiple times, and it keeps getting squashed, and it's always discovered from some ancient, pre-flood garden. Basically, they had God apparently, or somebody, I think it was God, developed multiple self-replicating fertilizers that would spread through the soil and make it, really healthy and make things real good. But the dark side doesn't want that getting out. They're making lots of money selling fertilizer. They don't want that.
They're full of fertilizer.
That's right. They're full of
fertilizer. Good gravy. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of positive things come out of them. It's refreshing to know that we have, people like the WITTS Ministries that can kind of step in and cover for us, if you will, and give us hope. I mean, to me, it's a hope because I stumbled onto the website years ago I was up one night, late one night, researching something, looking for something completely different. This was this was the last thing on my mind, and people to do these kind of things. I was looking for something completely different, stumbled on this thing, found myself on a website till about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I just couldn't get enough. I was just like a sponge absorbing everything. And then from there, I got in contact with them. And a short period of time later, I had the opportunity to meet with Sir T and the privilege to see some of the, just a kind of a glimpse of some of the things that they do. And it is amazing. It truly is amazing. And it's heartwarming to know people really care about people with what we hear and see every day. What's going on in this country, there's a lack of empathy, there's a lack of compassion. It's nice to know that there are people out there who have both. And not only that, but they have technologies that are literally life-changing, literally. So what are they asking from you, the listener, is to get involved, really, just to go to their website, get involved. If God leads you, make a donation to them, and help them continue doing what they're doing. Now, while I'm on the subject of donations, I didn't talk about it much tonight because we've talked about so many interesting things. The network is in need of donations. So if you can make a donation to keep the network going, that would be great. You can go to latenightinthemidlands.com, and you'll see there's a button there that you can donate. We would really like to get just more subscribers. That would really help us, because what's happening now is we go through hills and valleys. We go a hill where everything seems to be okay, then we go through a valley, which we're in right now, where everything is not okay, and bills need to get paid, and we have people that help us do what we do, and they need to get paid for it. You can't do electricity. As much as I wish I could get one of those generators from WITTS, electricity still costs us money. The water still costs us money. To be on the internet costs us money. It's all costs money. So that's why we ask for subscribers. We don't ask for a lot. $5 for a month. Come on. That's less than one of these meals, if you want to call them that, at one of these fast food restaurants, which is not food to me, but anyway, it's one of those in a whole month. And you get information like you got tonight, not readily available anywhere. There's not a whole lot of people that know that Tesla was part of this ministry. There's not a lot of people who know about the WITTS ministry itself and the vital part that it has played with our lives daily in our lives. They have played a very big part of that, but they have remained in the background for over 100 years that I'm aware of. And now they're slowly coming to the foreground. They're slowly looking for the recognition because they have seen a lot of the work that they've done that was intended for good use hasn't so much gone for good use as they were expecting or as they were told. And they want to do what is right in the eyes of God. What is right in the eyes of God is to have a healthy planet with a healthy population. So that's what they're after, and you can help them do that. WITTS.ws, WITTS.ws, World Improvement Through the Spirit.ws. We're kind of running down on time, but I still got a couple of minutes. Sir T, anything else you want to bring up?
Well, I want to thank you also. You're doing a great job spreading the word, encouraging people to do the right thing and serve God and bless humanity. So I really appreciate that, brother. And testifying. It's amazing how many people, especially scientists and engineers, can see our stuff firsthand. They're afraid to tell anybody about it, or they want to claim they invented it, and that happens all the time.
It is hard to believe. It really is. What I saw and witnessed and touched with my hand, it's hard to believe because we have been lied to. I don't know any other way to put it. We've just been misguided our whole lives about certain things, one of them being energy and the way energy is produced. And, of course, that is a major component in our lives. Who's going to live without electricity? You want to live without an air conditioner? Here in Florida, it hit 90-something today. Lord have mercy. If we didn't have an air conditioner, I don't know how people lived in the old times. I really don't. So it's that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's 90 up here, too. And I've been missionarying in the Philippines the last 3 years, and 90 is a cool day.
Wow.
And nobody has air conditioning. Well, I just say nobody. The rich have.
Yeah.
I don't.
I don't know how they do it. I guess you become acclimated to a degree, but It's tough. I'll tell you what. For me, it was tough.
You sweat. If you're working, you'll sweat a lot, and of course you got to drink a lot to replace it. And if you run, most people either carry an umbrella with them if they have to go out to keep the shade. They carry the umbrella, or they run from one shady area to the other. Literally, yeah. If you don't want to think about going to town because there's no place in the shade to park your car. Your car
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
It'll get 100 degrees more than that, 150 degrees in your car.
Oh yeah, easily.
Actually, I've seen over there. I've seen a gallon of water more than once sitting out, start boiling, and the top will explode, or the bottom will explode. Yeah, in other words, that's how hot it gets. Just sitting outside in the sun.
And it's expanding. Yeah, as it gets hotter, it's expanding. Wow.
Yeah, that's got to be boiling. It's expanding. Literally, it explodes, or the top shoots off. A loud pop. And
man,
that's hot weather, man. That's Florida's bad, and I've worked in Arizona too. I've worked in Florida, I've worked in Arizona, and I've worked in the Philippines. I also worked in South America, Ecuador, down by in the lower elevation. Ecuador is extremely hot because that's right on the equator. I've been in Peru also. Up in the mountains now, it's not bad. It's
a little different there. It gets warm in the day, but very cool at night.
Yeah, like Quito is the capital city of Ecuador. It's way up there in the mountains, and it's probably 70 degrees all the time, but maybe 60 actually. I think it's a little cool, honestly. But so it just depends on your elevation. But it's pretty awesome. We appreciate what you're doing, Brother Escala, and you're helping change the world. So we appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Sir T. I appreciate that, and thank you for taking the time to share with us tonight. All the information that you've shared with us. Really, some of it could literally be life-changing. So if you guys have missed any part of the show, check into the archives. If you want to reach Sir Timothy and WITTS Ministries, you can find them online, WITTS, WITTS.WS. And that's about wraps it up for our show for tonight. Thank you, Sir Timothy, again. God bless you, my friend. And, before I go, I want to remind people, if you want to see some of the teachings, he has teachings every Wednesday night on Vimeo. Now, the way to do that is you'll go to the website and register, give them your email, so they can send you an invitation to see these teachings about these advanced technologies, Bible teachings, and so forth. Other than that, we are completely out of time. Thank you, Sir T. I greatly appreciate it, sir.
My pleasure, brother. It's an honor.
All right, we'll be back in a week. I'll be back tomorrow morning with the fishing show. So if you're bored in the morning, you can always join us in the morning on the fishing show. And that's going to wrap it up for us for tonight. Thank you very much to L&M Network, WCET, High Point Radio, the other one out there in Arizona. I'm sorry, I can't think of the name right off the bat. Greatly appreciate it. This has been the Red Pill Reality Show tonight with Angel and Sir Timothy Thrapp. Good night, everybody.
All right.
You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. Take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.